Yes, indeed. It's that time for the Halloween special right here on Freaky Friday. I am Dave Baker, and this is Freaky Friday. And tonight I have with me the very scary, red-eyed looking Scotty Lopez and our good man, Kevin, aka Nacy, aka a man that goes by a million names, a million different sounds, and a million different stories to tell us today. So Scott, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up?
I'm good, man. You looking forward to our
Yeah.
Freaky? You've been a busy boy today, right?
Just digging up some. Hey, look, it's day before Halloween, right? Tomorrow's Halloween.
Well, an hour from now for me, it's Halloween. It'll be Halloween
Nice.
here on the show while we're live. So, you see, it definitely is our Halloween special.
It is.
Give the audience a taste of what you've got for tonight.
Well,
It's a
I've got
local woo, is it?
local woo. Yeah, some Midwestern Kansas woo. Just a lot of weirdness, high strangeness, I guess, and just in general, a lot of urban legend and just a nice smattering of stuff we can get into.
Absolutely, man. And of course, it's not just us two tonight. We've got a third amigo. It is Kevin, all the way from Minnesota. How you doing, brother?
Que paso, mi amigo? Running out of time to come up with a rhyme as I'm running to the little boy's room of doom and gloom and the day or the minute or the hour that we're in. Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew. Scotty, my buddy in Kansas City, getting nitty and gritty in Dorothy's land. And across the pond and beyond, there's the Kev Bakerville mayor extraordinaire with me and my long hair in my chair, saying, let's go down that rabbit hole spelunking and get caught in an oubliette.
Sounds good to me. I am the grand number of one that makes up the citizenry of Bakerville. Yes, like Asgardia, that space nation, my interdimensional island that I have that we sometimes set sail for. I really do need to start populating it, Scott. It's a bit lonely on there. I mean, I'm having fun lying in my hammock and all that, right? But I need a bit of company, man.
Yeah, it's like you're just one guy on a stranded island. You've got to populate the island. You've got to grow your own kingdom, your own community out there. So
grow it and they will come. Right? That was never said in any film, but hey, it sounds good. And listen, there's going to be an extra bit of weirdness on Freaky Friday tonight because it starts at the earlier time of 11 p.m. here in the UK. And I know I'm going to get a swathe, a bag full of emails by the time this show's finished. Really angry people saying, why didn't you tell me it started sooner? Well, if I wasn't banned from most social media, I'd be able to keep people up to date, but we know how that goes. So if you are here, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being on time. Now, remember, next week, everything goes back to normal. Everything regains its parity, and balance will be restored in the Kev universe. And I tell you, for 1 hour, Scott, for one lousy hour, it fairly knocks things all wrong, man.
It's interesting how just that tiny chunk of time. I mean,
just
if you think about it,
just a tip of time, Scott.
Exactly. In the grand scheme of things, 1 hour is not that much, but it can throw your entire whole pattern is completely thrown off by it.
When your daily routine has included a show at 10 p.m. for the past 6 years, you kind of get into a habit, or midnight on a Friday. You kind of get into the habit. So yes, an hour does make a big difference. And over in the Wookiee Cave tonight, and of course the Wookiee Cave is entirely free. It's the chat room at tfrlive.com/chat. Head on over there. And if you're real quick, you'll get a little dopamine burst in a moment when I go in and give the weekly roll call. Yes, so if you're after a bit of dopamine, you know where to go. First up, Kev. He's still in there. At least he's not banned from there, Scott. The shadow of the man that used to be Kev Baker's still in the chat room.
Did I just hold on? Did you just manage to give yourself a dopamine hit?
Ah, you see that? You see that, dude? You see it? Yeah, yeah.
That just...
Yeah. The inner Kev
Is that
I've
like
tucked
liking
away.
your own? Is that like liking your own status and commenting on it?
No, this is far better because there was an audience for it.
I wouldn't know anything about that, but you can ask Popeye.
Oh, yes, indeed. Popeye, indeed. So next up is Sophia. She gets the illusion of a dopamine hit because she's a robot. Then we have, I hope to call the human element in there, starting with the very illustrious Bam. We have got the cheeky Onslow. We have got the very wise one, Wise Wolf Radio. We've got the curious one, Cold Brews. We have got the victorious one, V-Lash. We've got the resounding Rio. We have got the bountiful Boy Solomon. We've got the... Oh, somebody had to have a name starting with Z, didn't they? We've got the Zigzag Z Graphics. And last but not least, the champion, Chris Jarvis. You like how I done that, Scott? I gave them all a little nickname tonight, you see? Don't even ask me to remember them. Don't go there. Don't go there, yeah.
It's like their little fighter nickname, right? You know, when they're coming into the boxing ring.
Yeah.
You gotta throw that little name in between there, you know. Mike the Tiger Jones or something like that, yeah.
Kev the Dave Baker.
Kev the Dave Baker.
So before I come to you for your absolute plethora of woo, Mr. Lopez, Halloween here. Kev, I'm gonna come to you, man. What does Halloween mean to you, sir? Is he back? He's back. Thank goodness for that. I thought, I just remembered he went to the toilet there. Not good.
I'm actually not sure if I'm even in the bathroom or in the living room, so I'm hoping it did manage to get into the toilet.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did, man. I heard it. Yeah.
Halloween to me is one of my favorite holidays. It has always been since I was a child. I used to make my own Halloween costumes. Ever since I seen George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, I wanted to be a special effects makeup artist because it's like, how do you make this stuff? And that's what I started doing. I used to set up things where I would take my parents' best kitchen knife and cut it in half and grind it down, put it in a piece of wood, and then lay on the kitchen floor and put flake blood all over me for my step monster to come into the house and scream her head off, seeing me laying down in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's the thing. Those practical effects, you know, since everything is CGI now, it just there's a night and day difference between practical effects and coming up with something like that.
Big time, dude. I mean, even After Effects, one of the very basic plug-in packs that you get, it'll like turn your face into like all the zombie makeup, everything. It looks the part. Like you say, it's like all done by graphics and things like that. You know, it's totally different.
It's like what I did at the beginning of the you know, you could tell it was CGI, but if I was to actually put on a detailed mask that, like, say something that Jonathan Fuller would make.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Because he does the exact same thing. You know, his masks are that's done
Epic.
by hand. It's you know, painted by hand, and the details are done by hand, and it's just much more realistic than anything you could do with CGI. And that's the thing with a lot of those old horror movies and, you know, the scary movies, just like Naysay was talking about, right? You know, that it evokes a more different, I would say, a more visceral reaction than something that's CGI, because it's easy. It's easier. It just, I don't know. It just looks more realistic.
one year I took over 8 hours making an Edward Scissorhands costume where I carved all of the scissor parts out of wood and they sat on the end of my fingers, and I made $600 that evening of Halloween in costume contest around the cities of Minneapolis.
You know, that has always stuck with me, that scary bugger, Edward Scissorhands. I don't know what it is about that whole kind of costume and everything else, but that, to me, I couldn't watch that film when I was younger, just because I'd seen a screenshot of what the guy looked like, Scott. That is, there's something highly disturbing about Edward Scissorhands. It's a highly disturbed film altogether. I don't know, man, but it still gives me the creeps now.
Well, yeah, because it's one of those things that it's like it's in the uncanny valley.
Oh, it's right down in the bottom of it, Scott. You know you're in the uncanny when you come across him. Oh.
It's alive. It's alive. It's that traditional story of the homunculus, the maid, Dr. Frankenstein and his monster, and Edward Scissorhands, where these people create things to bring them alive for their doings.
Oh, yes, indeed. So, Kev, you were going to talk to us about Halloween monsters, right? So, what you mentioned the homunculus there, but what's your favorite or scariest Halloween monster?
In the cryptozoic or in the whole Hollywood realm?
In anything.
I would have to say my ultimate favorite one is from John Carpenter's The Thing. If you remember that with Kurt Russell, when they found the crashed spaceship in the ice in Antarctica, and on it was a virus type thing that was able to transmute your particulates into whatever it wished to be.
Yeah, it's a scary looking thing, man. Literally a thing.
Dude, that is one of my top shows, horror films from then, back then, because then it had that weird sci-fi element to it also, where it's some kind of an alien organism entity thing. It was crazy, man.
Exactly, and that's where it went with the aliens. The aliens, that's the other monster of Halloween that comes at one time or another, where whether it's Critters, the entire franchise, or Will Smith punching him out, because that's how we do it in America. Come and invade us, will you?
Now remember, you can't have a go at other YouTubers. That's not allowed anymore. Believe it or not, Will Smith's a YouTuber. I'm only joking. He is. He's one of their biggest channels now, and it's YouTube. Yeah. There you go.
Well, then you would have had to have listened to that latest million YouTube hits or watches of Mr. The Axel J Man and the Joe Schmo from Toronto.
Yeah, maybe, but unless they're Halloween monsters, they ain't getting on here. So, Scott, what's your favorite Halloween monster?
My favorite Halloween monster.
What would you if you could scare people with any one? What would it be, man? Is that the right word? Your favorite monster? It just sounds wrong, doesn't it?
I'm just gonna have to go old school here. Just the skeleton. Just everything about the skeleton. A skull. That evokes a visceral reaction in people too. You're gonna jump scare somebody, wear a skull mask or something like that. Woo! Come around the corner. Spook them. That the first thing they see is a skull, and they're like, whoa! Freaks them out because it just represents death. The
seventh voyage of Sinbad, I think it was, when he fought with the animated skulls. If you recall that one, it was the old claymation movies of the 70s.
trying to think. Yeah. I think this is quite a newer one that actually disturbs me, and it's not even to do with the film. See the scream mask, that kind of pulled down face. There's something not right about that.
That became a very iconic sort of, the scream mask. It became a very iconic sort of image when it comes to something scary,
isn't it? It's in you see it in The Purge and things like that. That is not right. There's something wrong. And again, it's got your skeleton thing going on, Scott. But I don't know, dude. Oh,
it makes me think of that picture, The Scream, and then it makes me think of Pink Floyd, The Wall, in the animation when the face would come out.
Yeah, very, very Pink Floyd-esque. Very.
Plus, with the death, the death character with the shroud or the robe and the hooded robe of black, the Christmas past, Christmas future, creepy.
Yeah.
And that's always another sort of iconic thing of anything spooky and evil, right? It's the hooded figure, the cloaked. The cloak.
We don't do a cloak. Nothing good comes in a cloak.
No.
No.
Not really.
No.
Unless it's an invisibility cloak.
I reckon going about in a cloak in the year 2020 would look rather distinguished. In fact, it might actually disturb people to see somebody walking down the street in a cloak. They'd probably think you're some kind of time traveler from some distant horror movie or something, man.
I mean, cloaks and wheelchairs don't work.
Do you ever feel comfortable if somebody in a cloak is just like walking next to you?
No, I've never had the experience, to be honest with you, nor do I want it.
Only when LARPing.
Is it just some monk or something like that? Like,
oh, not good, man, not good. Yeah, beware the cloaked ones. Rule number 1. That's our top Halloween tip for today. So we're going to come back to the monsters. There's a lot of monsters.
What about you, Kevin?
Me?
What's your scariest monster?
The scream mask. The scream, anything in the
mask,
scream mask,
right?
man, yeah. Masks, even, what do you call it? I would have to throw in a bit of Freddy Krueger. I have to throw him in there somewhere as well. Disturbing again, not good.
Leatherface. Yeah, some Leatherface. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, now these are some iconic, scary movie horror characters, Got Jason Voorhees with his hockey mask.
Yeah. Do you remember the Halloween show we done with the actor out of Halloween? Do you remember that, Scott? The Freaky Friday we done with I can't remember his name, man. I'll need to go. It was a few years ago now. It was me, you, Joe, Scotty, Whistles, and it was back in the time when I was hanging out with ambassadors and things,
Way back in the day, man.
Way back in the day, man. But that was the good thing that came from the ambassador. Yes, we got an actor on the show. But Scotty Lopez, I'm going to come to you now because you came to me. You came running today on that damn Facebook. I'm thinking, oh no, he's trying to drag me back in there again. But it's Scott. I'll go. Hey, Scott, come on. What did you find, dude? What did you uncover, man? You've like unearthed a treasure trove of real creepy woo.
I've got a site that I ran into today that I think will provide us a couple weeks worth of woo.
You mean I can put my feet up? I can like chill out on a Friday? Dude.
It's always nice to come across something that, isn't Mysterious Universe, right?
Exactly. Because or Unexplained Mysteries, that's another one.
Yeah. So it's always nice to find something new. So I came across this website called legendsofamerica.com, and it's got all kinds of stuff on it. But I figured, I came across this to begin with because I was looking for some hauntings here in the Midwest, some really,
And is it like a hotbed of paranormal, supernatural activity?
Yeah, actually, it is. There's a lot of stuff I dug up, at least here in Kansas. Like we could almost do an entire show on Fort Leavenworth. I don't know. Maybe we'll just go ahead and
start. Yeah. Give us your best, man. What have you got there? Come on.
Okay, well, I don't know if I want to get into the specifics of the entire background of Fort Leavenworth, because this really gives you a really good background of the history of it and everything. But I think I'll just cut to the good stuff and go right to the hauntings at Fort Leavenworth. And for those of you out there who actually like want to look into a lot of this stuff, just go to legendsofamerica.com, and I'll drop the link here to Kev so he can pull that up too.
Look at you building the anticipation, man. I'm almost falling off my chair here waiting for you to get into this. Look at him. He's doing it on purpose.
All right, so here we go. Some Fort Leavenworth hauntings. It says there are several old officers' houses on historic Fort Leavenworth that are haunted. Faces can be seen in the back of the fireplaces, and strange noises heard at night. Many believe the ghosts are spirits of inmates who were executed at the United States Disciplinary Barracks on Fort Leavenworth, and the ghosts of those buried in the National Cemetery located just beyond the prison walls. So our first little haunting here is the Chief of Staff's quarters at 624 Scott Avenue.
Scotty Avenue.
Continue to host a tea party in the parlor. Though apparitions have not been seen, several people report hearing the sounds of a tea party coming from an otherwise empty parlor. Former site of the St. Ignatius Chapel. The original St. Ignatius Chapel was built where a house now stands at 632 Thomas Avenue. In 1875, the original church and rectory burned down, claiming the life of a young priest who had been assigned there. After the fire, the salvageable building material was used to build the new residence. Some of the scorched bricks can still be seen making up the fireplace in the dining room of the old house. Etched into the bricks are several names, including that of Father Fred. Many who have lived there have claimed to see Father Fred walking through the house in his priestly robes. Reportedly, he is most often seen walking up and down the stairs and in the kitchen and dining room. In the 1970s, his robed figure even appeared in a Polaroid photograph taken at a dinner party. After the first chapel burned down in 1875, a new one was built at the corner of McLean and Pope. However, on December 16th, 2000, in the early morning hours, it burst into flames and was completely destroyed. It makes one wonder if there isn't some more malevolent force at work here. Ooh, so the first one burnt down, and then it's built with the bricks of the old building and has that energy like infused into it.
Big time. We talk about that with the rocks all the time. That's what it sounds like to me, dude. All that bad energy, all that bad karma, it's all been locked in there.
Yeah.
It's one of those Fridays. Yep.
The General's residence, located at 1 Scott Avenue, is said to continue to host General George Armstrong Custer. Often seen roaming the first floor of the old residence, in his spirit supposedly lingers, because Fort Leavenworth was the site where he was court-martialed in 1867 for leaving his command and mistreating his troops. The hearing was held in the commanding general's quarters, where Custer was found guilty and given a year's suspension without pay. Afterwards, he was reinstated and rejoined the 7th Cavalry in September 1868, where he served until the disastrous Battle at Little Bighorn in 1876. Didn't go very well for Custer at the...
No.
Yay!
I knew Naysay would give that a little cheer. All
Did
right.
you know the Native Americans, they talk about the evening before that battle that they went there and they fed the horses hemp?
Well, hold that thought. Thought. Let them chew on that hemp, and we'll be back after these short and freaky messages. You're listening to Freaky Friday right here on TFRlive.com. And of course, we're still here on YouTube. Yes, indeed. Indeedy.
So, some good stuff coming out of Fort Leavenworth.
Yeah. These army bases, man, I'm telling you. I mean, I had to worry about Private Pyle, where I done my basic training in Basinborn. I mean, we all remember Private Pyle from Platoon, right? And what he done. The ghost of Private Pyle still walks Basinborn. That was filmed here in the UK. Obviously, it's not, because it was a film. There's not a real ghost there. But I tell you what, some of those bases, because of the history, Scott, they are creepy, man. They really are.
I got a
creepy.
woo story in a military base when I was in the Navy and walking watch.
Mm-hmm.
Where you know what I'm talking about, Kev, when you got guard duty?
Yep. On patrol.
Okay, so we have our bases in the barracks. There's 3 floors of 3 buildings that are connected on one side, so it looks like a letter E. And when you're on watch, you have to walk through like upwards but zigzagging through the stairwells and through the barracks. And one end of the building was empty because they were supposed to be filled the following week, but you still got to walk through them. And so I go through the first floor, go to the second floor, I get into the I'm getting those goosebumps.
Oh.
I get into the stairwell going up to the 3rd floor, and I'm just starting to freak out. Just getting an eerie feeling. I open up that door and it just intensifies, and then I start walking through it, and I have to walk past where the bathrooms are. And I just got like, what the hell? And I ran the last bit of it, went down the stairs.
That was your spider's sense, your sixth sense, your
that was your defense mechanism, man. That was your get the hell out of here. There's a spook on the loose.
Something went down in that bathroom. I don't know what it was, but I wanted nothing to do with it.
You're having no part of it, Kev. No part of it at all. Yeah, sometimes on I think most of the time when we were doing patrol, when we were on guard duty, we used to like make ourselves scared because sometimes we would tell ghost stories and things like that. And there didn't necessarily need to be anything anywhere near you, Scott. But because you're telling these stories, it creates that atmosphere, and things just feel weird when you're out in the dark. It's no good.
We enjoy being scared.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because you're manifesting that vibe. You're hype. You're bringing in that energy.
Not really a good combination to be like scaring yourselves with armed weapons on each of you. Jumping out of your skin at this. Now that I look back, it was probably a crazy kind of pastime. Yeah. See, I was even dealing in the woo back then a little bit when I think about it, man.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Yeah, see?
The woo was, man.
The woo was always strong in me, ma'am.
Woo, child, everything's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be a random soundboard night. Hang on, I think I've got it this time.
I never expect a Trump charging into a goblin's nest to not get some goblin vomit slopping blood on him. I don't want to see him kissing goblins.
No.
Spider ghosts are at least 25 years old.
I thought that was Jimmy saying sarcophagi.
Can I give you one?
Here we go. Here we go. Wait a minute, Kev. We're going back to the network. Here we go.
Okay.
Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, interdimensional creepers, time travelers, otherworldians, wherever you're from, whether you're in this land of the living or in the land of the dead, welcome. The second part of I know, he's that demonic, he can't even sound right, but it's good. It's a good, creepy sounding Freaky Friday. We've got Kevin. He is coming to us all the way from the USA, as is Scott. I'm over in Scotland. It is a bit of an international flavour here. We've got ghosts from throughout history. Past, present, even future ghosts. How can you future ghosts? We're all future ghosts, aren't we? We're all ghosts in the making, right? We're going to be ghosts someday, Scotty. Yep.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes, indeed.
What if? Can we go to Speculation Island already?
Okay, then. And then we'll go back to Kansas.
Oh, no. Yeah, let's go to Kansas and Leavenworth. Sorry, Scott.
No, throw a speculation in. Throw it in, man.
Okay, throughout our entire existence in today's society, we utilize preservatives and additives and herbicides and pesticides, and then when we die, we get embalmed, and so then we just keep plasticizing ourselves. Then we're put into a coffin that is hermetically sealed, and then we're put inside a concrete cube.
Speak for yourself, man. Speak for yourself, because I want to be stuffed. I want to be embalmed and stuffed and varnished and stuck in a corner somewhere, or just placed somewhere, Scott, where I'm pointing at nothing, but it looks like I'm really intently pointing at something and looking at something else. I want to be the most confusing statue in the world, dude.
You want to be like, you're going to end up becoming that like really macabre sort of sideshow thing that's always kind of like paraded around at some like 2-bit carnival somewhere.
Yeah, I'll
some
end up
little
just a man in a jar, just a little pickled man in a jar.
Like on Futurama, where they had just the floating head in the jar.
Yeah, man, that's it. That's it. In the end of the day, one of my theories of life is we are actually a brain in a jar, like Ken Webb said. I still think it's a viable option. Yeah.
I think so. I think Ken Webb was definitely on something.
Come on, man.
Well, what if
He's the original? Come on, man.
What if from all of this, this ritual in being buried, in the Bible it says, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So if everything leaves residue, then you would think our essence would be somehow tethered to the physical body, depending on the length of the existence.
Okay.
So what if we cannot go back into the ethos because our body will not disintegrate?
I like it, man.
Okay. I like it. That's a good take on it. And
disturbed
also
a lot of people out there with that thought. It's rather disturbing. I like it.
The physical, of your flesh suit or whatever that was made up of you is going to be quantumly entangled with whatever left the body, right?
Not a good thought.
I'm just saying.
Not a good thought. Is that how people are tethered to Fort Leavenworth, Scott?
Yes, I think so.
That would become tethered to buildings and things and creep the hell out of people. Oh.
Okay, so we'll head back to Fort Leavenworth.
I'm proud of you guys, though. I'm proud of you guys because back in the day, this whole Halloween thing, people had the festival. They were trying to ward off ghosts and scary things for the coming year. I think we've made a good start. We're half an hour into our battle with evil, Scott. We've got to ward it off for the next year. I think we're doing well, man. Yeah.
Are you saying that we can do magic tonight? I was asking that earlier.
We already are, dude. We're already doing magic. Scott's got the wand. He's on the talking wand. Scott, Kansas were.
Yeah. So let's head over to the old disciplinary barracks.
You see, this is where you've got to imagine that place is absolutely horrendously haunted.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it was all, I also got to mention, Fort Leavenworth just wasn't only a base, it was a prison.
I was going to say it's the American version. For people in the UK, think of Colchester and the Glass House. I feel terrified even mentioning that place, and I didn't go there. I didn't need to go there. I don't even know if it exists, but the thought of it had me a very good boy in the army. Very good boy, Scott. And no going there.
Nope.
No way.
It's, this old disciplinary barracks has 12 towers along a wall, and before the barracks closed, not all of them were manned. Number 8 tower had not been renovated and was never manned during the late years that the prison was open. Closed off. The only way you could get into the tower was to walk along the wall from another tower. However, guards would often report seeing something move inside the tower. So, let's see. Okay, yeah, I lost my spot here. Give me a second. It says, however, okay, so they would see something move inside the tower, and it says, long ago, a soldier self-deleted.
Never good.
By using a weapon, let's just say.
Yeah.
When the prison was still open, the control tower would often get phone calls from 8 tower. Ooh.
That's weird.
Can you imagine sitting there and then, like, you get a phone call from the abandoned tower that has nobody in it?
No. Not
You're
good.
looking at that old timey phone with all the different banks of lights on the bottom of it, and all of a sudden the light comes on of Tower 8 and it starts ringing.
Oh,
Yeah.
not
Hello?
for me. Yeah, you'd get that feeling, man.
Come and visit us at the 8th tower.
Disturbing. It says they would get calls from 8 tower even though there was no phone in the tower. It says when the line was picked up, there would only be static on the other end. At one point, a patrol car reported seeing someone standing in the tower pointing a rifle at them,
That's bizarre.
and no one was in the tower. Other towers were also haunted. Guards would report hearing the sounds of someone walking up the stairs and knocking on the trapdoor entrance to the towers when no one was there. Building 65 was once the prison hospital, and an unused elevator was said to be haunted. According to legend, 14 German POWs were executed in the elevator shaft by hanging. Often guards would because they would send POWs to Fort Leavenworth, right, during the war and all that. So,
What building was that at?
Building 65 at Fort Leavenworth.
Oh my God, 65, 6 and 5 equal 11, and there's 2 1s in 11, and 11 rhymes with Kevin. This is prophecy in the making.
Especially because Kevin rhymes with Levin, and this is Fort Leavenworth. There you go, Scott. You see that? There you go. There you go. Look at that connections, man. I see them. We're there.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. So often guards would report hearing screaming coming from the old elevator. On the 3rd floor of the building, which was only used as storage, a ghostly man in a wheelchair was often seen being pushed by another ghostly figure. The old disciplinary barracks operated from 1875 through 2002 when a new barracks was built. So now we're heading on to the officers' quarters.
You did say a wheelchair, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was a.
Just had to point that out also.
Yeah. I know. I was like, very interesting.
11 is a 1 and a 1, and here we have Scotty and Kevin both rolling as good as they can.
Yes,
I might have
indeed.
to smoke some more.
Yeah, no more. Probably be a good idea, Kev. No more.
Never.
I'm joking, brother.
I'm gonna have to
joking.
up it to pizza toppings then.
So what other beasties have we got in Kansas, Scott? Come on, man. Come on, creep us out, dude. I want to get creeped here, man.
Okay. So I mean, we could keep going with Fort Leavenworth, but that's a whole. We could just.
That's a show waiting to happen. Let's get into some of these creepy cryptids or Stull or some of this weirdness, man.
All right. Well, we can't have Halloween without having to bring up Stull.
Yes.
Because when it comes to hauntings in Kansas, this is the creme de la creme. This is the one. Yeah, so I'll drop this over here so you can pull it up.
Yes, creepy woo. That's what we're wanting. Stull has got it.
Oh, Stull has definitely got it. There we go.
Go for it.
So, Stull Cemetery in Kansas. This is one that is has quite the urban legend that we've all heard here in Kansas from.
This is a place where the Pope refused to fly over it because it's allegedly a gateway to hell. I mean, maybe some people don't realize that. There might be new listeners here. That's what makes this place, for me, really weird how I'd never heard of it before. It's like one of the best kept secrets of the demonic hordes that they kept Stull hidden from us for so long. Scott's on the case.
Is that where the Winchester boys went to open up the pits of hell? Or to close them? One of the two, I think.
Who knows? There's a lot of people that have went out to
Supernatural, the series.
Tried to do some things. Oh, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was in that series, wasn't it?
It's represented. Yeah, it was in Supernatural. See, I've never seen.
Episode 5, season 3. It was released in May of no.
I thought we had a proper supernatural aficionado going on there. Yeah. So tell us then, Scott, what's going on here, man?
All right, so Stull Cemetery, it says, located in the Great Plains in the northeast corner of Kansas lies the small town of Stull, which is literally 15 minutes away from me. So, I'm pretty damn close to Stull.
I'm coming to visit you, Scotty. We're going there.
Yes, we probably should. It says, with a population of less than 2,000, Stull is one of the smaller towns in all of Kansas. However, small Stull may seem, the town is renowned for being home to what some people consider to be one of the gates to hell. Built in 1861, Stull Evangelical Church was funded by the local members of the community. For decades, the church and cemetery represented a primary assembly for many of Stull's residents. It wasn't until 1974 when a newspaper article from Kansas State University revealed the haunting legend of biblical proportions. It is said that the Stull Church is one of the only places on earth where the devil himself materializes several times a year. The spirits of those resting, whom died violently, are said to roam the grounds with the devil during the spring equinox and on blah, 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 Halloween. Students have reported supernatural happenings, such as being touched by beings that were unseen, and others have experienced sudden relocations or recollections or memory losses while visiting the grounds.
That's weird. That sounds like missing time. It also sounds like you might be channeling old memories of old events. You start to kind of remember things you've never experienced. That's weird.
Yeah, those are common reports from what I've heard. Like all through the Stull stuff I heard about growing up and all the way back in high school and just the different stories and stuff. Yeah, that seems to be a really common experience that people have, or like missing time, going down in the basement of the church or the stairway of the church and like feeling like they were down there for 30 minutes when they were only down there for like 2 or 3 minutes. You know, so like these
bizarre.
huge time gaps and things like that happening there. Yeah. Really weird. Really weird. So it says many attribute the origination of the story to the witchcraft practices and black magic of pagans in the region. According to legend, those pagans summoned the presence of spirits which would haunt the territory for eternity. Contrary to popular belief, the town of Stull is actually said to be derived from Skull, which legend holds was the original title of the location. Others say that the devil makes his presence there because of a horrible tragedy which occurred in the 1870s. It is depicted that a hand at a local stable violently murdered the mayor of the settlement by using a knife on him and taking his life. In turn, the stable was constructed into a church where the inhabitants would gather for worship. The legend of the Stull Cemetery has not gone unheard of either. Pope John Paul II, while flying over the region, specifically requested for his plane not to pass over, quote unquote, the unholy ground. Nevertheless, those residing in Stull, Kansas continue to believe that these ghost stories are mere creations of youth and college students. Many inhabitants deny there ever being a community of witchcraft practicing pagans. However, if one considers that the inhabitants currently residing in Stull are descendants of these earlier settlers, there may be a reason why they continue to deny these unnatural occurrences. Yes, I must mention as well that the locals in Stull are a very interesting group of people. Let's just put it that way. Very not very welcoming to outsiders. Like,
Have they done a deal with that devil that materializes there every couple of months by the sounds of it?
I don't know. You know, a lot of it is, well, there are so many, tourists and people gawking around that they don't want people, coming into town and whatever. But then another part is like, there's something a little more weird about the way they act, and
are the body snatchers in Stull, man? Are they like of this world, these people?
It's just you definitely feel the vibe that you're unwelcome.
What makes you ponder about the whole timing of the season, that if the veil literally does thin, because as we most are aware of, that we have a full moon. We have a full moon, once in a blue moon, a hunter's moon. Is this a thinning of the veil? Because technically, this is the full moon of November and not the full moon of October. That already occurred if you count the months from the winter solstice of last.
Makes you wonder, though, Kev. Do you think the added effect of a rare 76-year full moon on Halloween is going to make Stull a little more supercharged tomorrow?
I think it makes the whole world a little bit more creepy. And after all, we are living through the 2020 Halloween. So come on, it's gonna be a bizarre one. It had to have this rare blue moon this year. It had to be this year, you know. And we
think about
we had on
the
Mary Dacina. She was talking about planets and moons, and Kevin, you would definitely love her. She was talking about how there's so many different cycles, like all coming together right now in the heavens above us. And yeah, in this moon, and it's Freaky Friday. It's the Halloween special. Of course, I'm gonna tell you. It adds to the madness, Scotty boy. But Kevin,
well,
do you
I
think
strongly?
This... On you go, man.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, on you go.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I strongly suggest that everybody take a moment and look at where you are positioned or domiciled in to see when it is the exact full moon. And if you have trinkets or tools of divination, that you take the opportunity to have them bathed into the moonlight. Because if you look at it, technically, the moonlight is a reflection of the sun bouncing back to the earth. So if you think of the sun as an electromagnetic occurrence that's sending out a field, it bounces off the moon, and then that moon sends it to us. So it's a reflection or a refraction of light.
There you go, man. That's how people will be howling. They'll be howling out there tonight. I mean, usually on a weekend I hear people howling in the Carlton in Glasgow anyway, but they'll be howling even more. They will. Do it.
Howl at the moon. Why not?
It's not more like a moo. It's not more bovine than
I've got a ghost of a cow in my house.
But this is the interesting thing with the moon characteristics is I've been trying to research what they call Sallow, which supposedly Halloween is all about, and I can't find any discernment of whether it happened on the new moon of so many numbers of moons in the year, or if it happened on the full moon. That's been my latest challenge. If anybody could
would you
answer
imagine,
that one.
Kev, would you imagine with this rare moon, Halloween, will there be much magic being spelled and cast around right now, in your opinion?
Absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely. Not in just the anticipation of it being the 2020 October 31st Halloween moon, but in the current situation that we're in, where people are at this heightened, aggravated, fearful, oh yeah, I'm sure there are some entities out there doing their collection rituals or ceremonies. But the biggest discernment I am trying to figure out is, would the entities of negativity or darkness, would they be doing their rituals during the new moon or the full moon? Because if they did it at the full moon, and if they're doing negativity at the zenith of the full moon, that means they're like literally trying to do a slap in the face of the light in supposedly this moment of the cycle. But then the same goes as the new moon. You know, when would be the best to do their most negativity? In the total darkness? Because when they talk about the witching hour, they talk about it between sunset and sunrise. So has the sun gone down yet where you're at?
Well, it's
Is
nearly
it in the
midnight
middle of the
over here.
night?
Yeah, it's nearly midnight over here, so yeah, definitely well down right now.
Good.
Well
So
down.
we're going to do magic at Kevin's. Are you ready for this, Kevin? Sorry,
I'm ready
Kev.
for it. I'm ready for it.
Do you have a glass?
I ain't doing
With
no magic
water
on the show. You know,
and then-
hell no. I ain't doing no magic on no show. I ain't doing that. No. Damn
How about
good.
you, Scotty?
You'll have me turning into a toad live on camera, Scott. You ain't come up for turning into a toad. Come on, man.
How about you, Scotty?
Nope. I'm not
Do
magic.
either of you have a marble?
Even if I did, I would tell you I've lost them, and most of the chat would concur that I lost my marbles years ago.
Oh, I want to do some magic.
Kev, as soon as this broadcast is finished, you can magic yourself. You can, like, even do the whole Houdini thing. You can even, I'm going to send you a cloak. You can't be a magician without a cloak on. You have to have a cloak, right?
Cloaks and wheelchairs just don't mix, brother.
It's okay, though. It's a magic cloak.
Well, then I'll have to stand up and freak everybody out.
There you go. See? There you go, Kev. Like I say, you can see the magic. See what he's trying to do here, Scott. You'd have me turning into a bat live on air or something.
Never.
You see, it might just be a bit...
I can't say never.
Exactly, especially when you've got a rare moon on a Halloween. When we ask everybody out there, can you handle our woo? We'll come back after the break. We'll get more monsters, more madness. There'll be Scottish hauntings and a whole lot more on the way. 1 hour down, 2 hours to go on your Freaky Friday Halloween special.
Get a piece of paper and pencil and we'll do magic later.
There we go. I'm going to grab a coffee, boys. I will be 30 seconds.
I gotta grab something to drink.
Okay, I'm going to put some music on. Here we go.
Okay, I'll just talk to myself.
You can talk to the audience if you want, Kev.
Oh, yeah? Who do we got out here? Oh, we're on YouTube, aren't we?
Yes, we're on YouTube. Yes, so I'll be 1 minute. I'm just going to make coffee.
Should I tell them a scary story I made up?
Yeah, why not? Go for it.
You got scary music? Ooh. Scary stories by candlelight, by Naysay, it's such a delight. Jonathan came home, and Lisa was excited to see him. And Jonathan opened up a bag, and inside the bag he found an old-fashioned phone, because Lisa collected old-fashioned things. So Jonathan went to Lisa's desk as Lisa went into the kitchen to create dinner. As he was attempting to plug in the phone, Lisa was talking to him. So he came into the kitchen and they talked a little bit more. Sooner than later, night was ended and Jonathan had to get going home. So he went to leave. And on the way home, he receives a phone call from Lisa. Jonathan, quit calling me on that phone. It's really creepy. Jonathan is like, what are you talking about, Lisa? Well, the phone rang shortly after you left, and nothing was there, and I thought for sure it was you. Well, let me call you right back when I get home. I don't like talking on my phone while I'm driving. So he hung up. After he hung up, sure enough, the phone rang, and Lisa went over to the old-timey phone and picked it up and listened. And again, she heard, Lisa, where are you? Lisa, where are you? Lisa. She again, getting aggravated, went to her phone and called Jonathan, sent him a text message and say, stop this. This is nerve-wracking. And Jonathan called her back and said, what are you talking about? She said, quit calling me.
I missed it.
Keep going, they say. It's good stuff. Uh-oh.
Has he dropped out?
I don't know. Oh, man, it was getting good, too. It was a good story.
I missed it, and then when I came back, my electromagnetic field just knocked him off. There he is. He's back now, is he?
Yeah, I think so.
Am I back?
You are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they missed it? I got muted?
No.
I said
You just got off.
Ooh. Maybe I should have went and got my ghost detector during the break. Didn't think about that one.
Everybody wants to know what happened to Lisa, they say.
So Lisa picks up the phone, and all of a sudden she hears, I know where Lisa is, and the phone goes dead. And behind her, the bedroom door starts to open.
Oh.
And then
I'm
Jonathan
glad I missed that.
gets to the apartment, And the first thing he says is, Lisa, where are you? Where are you, Lisa?
Hold that thought, man.
Lisa.
Hold that thought. We need to go back to the network. Welcome back. Hour number 2 on today's Freaky Friday. And I think I missed something kind of special during the break there. I think we'll just need to get Kev to go over it again because when I came back from making a coffee, his audio went and glitched anyway, right when everybody was like, what's coming next? So Kev, what's the story with Lisa, man? Come on, you can't, like, I can't go on without hearing this now, right?
Well, ever since I...
From the beginning, yes.
Okay, ever since I lost my sight, what I did for my daughters, because I used to read to my daughters all the time, and since I lost my sight, I would make up stories to my daughters. And this is the classic Naysay Halloween original. I hope so. Maybe it came out of many years of the Twilight Zone or Outer Limits or just being a fanatic about horror movies, but it starts like this. Jonathan walks into Lisa's apartment, and he's all excited, carrying a bag, and Lisa looks over and says, "What's in the bag?" He reaches into the bag, and he finds an old-timey telephone, and she's excited with delight. So he goes over to her desk and starts checking out to set it up. She goes into the kitchen, and they're continuing to talking as she's making dinner. Jonathan comes into the kitchen, and they continue to talk and have dinner, and sooner or later, the night is over, and Jonathan has to leave. No more than a few minutes after Jonathan leaves, the phone rings, and Lisa goes over to the phone and picks it up, and she hears, "Lisa, where are you? Where are you, Lisa? Lisa?" And the phone goes dead. And she gets kind of puzzled, and she picks up the phone again, and there's no sound. She goes over to the phone and calls Jonathan, and Jonathan's like, "What is it? You know I don't like talking while I'm in the car." She said, "Quit calling me on that phone. It's creepy." He's like, "What are you talking about? Let me call you when I get home." And he hangs up. As soon as he hangs up, the phone rings again, and Lisa goes over to the phone and picks it up. And again she hears, "Lisa, where are you? Where are you, Lisa? Lisa?" And the phone goes dead. So now she's getting weirded out. So she goes back to her phone and calls up Jonathan again. He answers, and he's like, "Lisa, I'm almost home. Give me a moment. I'll call you when I get there." And she said, "This isn't funny. Stop calling me. This is really starting to freak me out." Jonathan's like, "What are you talking about? You're calling me on that old phone." And Jonathan is silent, and he goes, "Lisa, I couldn't hook up that phone because it has an old-time type of connection, and it won't fix. I'll have to get you a converter. I'll be right there." So Lisa hangs up the phone, and Jonathan hangs up the phone, and the phone rings again. And Lisa goes over to the phone and picks it up, and then she hears, "I know where Lisa is." And the door of her bedroom starts opening up. And Jonathan bursts into her apartment door, and you hear, "Lisa, where are you? Where are you, Lisa? Lisa?" But Lisa's not there.
And then the phone goes, he picks it up, it's Lisa. Hey, that would have been even creepier finish.
Oh. And the phone rings, and he picks it up, and then you hear, "Jonathan, where are you?" Ooh, thank you, Kevin. I'm going to add to that.
Yeah, see, that's a really good, that's a switch at the end, man. That's the switcheroo, isn't it? Isn't it?
What's his name?
Jonathan.
Shamalamadiga Shamahama?
I don't know.
M. Night. What a twist! There you go.
You know, when you turn around, when Jonathan turns around, he sees Lisa, only she's faceless. Oh. Now, that's disturbing. That was in that, the Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yes.
The woman had, like, no face. I tell you, this is not good. Not good.
After you're forgotten. Is it after you're forgotten that you're no longer in existence?
Yep.
Oh, we got to talk about that one, Kevin. Yep. I just listened to that one, and whoa.
Well, I tell you what, Kev, because you get that audio kind of perspective of it, it's going to be interesting to know what you made of it, because I found it really, really, for a modern day horror-y type thing, it's impressive. I got a couple of jumpy moments in it, Scotty. That's quite good. Quite good. Good story. Old houses, old ghosties. Whoa.
Oh, what's this movie called?
The Haunting of Bly Manor. It's or Bly House. It's on Netflix. Yeah, it's like 8-9 episodes long, and it's got scary children. Already, it's off to a bad start for me. Yeah, children and horror things. We talked about that last week, right? So I don't know. It's got all the ingredients, but like I say, Kevin, because remember we spoke before about he listens to the audio and gets a different take altogether. So it's gonna be good to see, good to kind of get Kevin's take on that for sure.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting. Yeah, I would have to agree. Anytime you see a faceless figure with just no face, it's one of those weird uncanny valley things where it's like you just know right off the bat something is horribly, horribly wrong. It's probably not good.
Big time.
You know?
So,
should we talk about some ghost stories?
Yes, give us a ghost story, Kev. Come on, man. Give us a ghost story, man.
Did I tell you guys about the glowing hands? Or should we just go with that one?
No, I've heard of the hairy hands. We've talked to the hairy hands on here. That's actually a thing. The hairy hands of, was it Devon, Scotty? Or Dartmoor?
The hairy hands of Devon.
Yeah. Yeah.
1971, North St. Paul on Ivy Street, the first house that my parents purchased. While my parents were gone, we had a babysitter. And for some reason, I was just afraid to go to sleep. I was so afraid to go to sleep that I asked my older brother if I could sleep in the bed with him. And he said, fine, but you have to sleep on the outside. So I climb into the bed with him, and I'm sleeping on the outside, which is the worst place to be, because that's where they can get you first. And so I'm laying on the outside, and if you lay with your head facing the ceiling, and if you turn your neck to the right, you can see all the way down the hallway to my parents' room, and just before their room was an opening to the left to the bathroom and to the right into the main part of the house. All of a sudden, at some time in the middle of the night, I wake up with the creepiest, scariest feeling, turn my head to the right, and then I see something. I see a mist, like a shadow of a kind of like a grayish smoke, greenish gray smoke, and it's kind of drifting towards me. I immediately close my eyes and look up at the ceiling, and I'm trying to convince myself there's nothing there, there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But I can feel this presence getting closer and closer. Next thing you know, I feel it like right upon me. I open up my eyes. The minute I open up my eyes, I feel something grab me by the throat and start squeezing my throat. I then take my left arm and try to swing up to grab whatever is grabbing my throat. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the air, something grabs my wrist and is just holding it there. And this thing is like just looming over me, but I can't make out any kind of features of like appendages or anything. So I start kicking my feet and thrashing, and next thing you know, my brother wakes up, starts screaming his head off. Next thing I know, my parents come running down the hall. I hear my dad like, what the? Swearing, comes in. Soon as the hall light goes on, all of a sudden it stops. My mom rushes in. She starts crying and she's holding me. I'm crying. My dad's yelling at me and my brother for messing around in the room. So this happens. And then years go by. My 22nd birthday, my brother comes from Germany, and we're drinking and we have a keg on standby. And I ask him to bring me up to the liquor store to get the keg. So we're on our way to the liquor store, and for some reason I remember this story. And I said, do you remember in the old house on Ivy Street in the middle of the night that I was freaking out and I thought there was something there? And he sat in silence. He goes, all I remember is glowing green hands.
Oh.
Whoa.
Glowing green hands. I think that might even be worse than hairy hands. That sounds like they got ectoplasm or something dripping off them, man.
Like, also, like these glowing ectoplasmy hands trying to
Scarpering across the floor. Oh, not good, man.
What is it? what is it called when you see a poof of exoplasm?
I don't know. Is there a
ghost
scientific?
fart.
Well, I was going to say, is there a scientific term for it? Obviously not.
Ghost fart.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's and once again, here we go with the mist.
Yeah, and somebody was saying, Scott, we need to get you filming out there at Stull somehow. We need to get your mum take you out there or something, man.
We were just discussing this earlier, me and my mom. And we think that my younger brother may be willing to take a trip out there.
Nice. At night, I hope.
Of course.
Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be when it's dark, dude. It's no good during the day, man.
Winter solstice.
I also have to point out that they destroyed the church.
Is it gone now?
They quite a few years ago. Is
this one the lights used to go on in it and things when there was nobody there?
Yeah. So I can add a little more to this. Because the story didn't really cover everything, because there's a lot of activity, One of the things is that people reported when they would drive by, they would see lights coming out of the windows of Stull. And I don't know if you can find a picture of the church, but there's some windows that are on the side of the church, and there's a good picture of it right there. Yeah,
I'll drop that over at TFR for the TFR Wookiee Cave.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have an aerial view? It'd be interesting to see if there's some kind of shape, some pattern you could recognize in an aerial view of the grounds.
I'll have to look at it on Google Earth or something sometime and see what's going on there. But anyways, as you can see, there's no roof, right? So one of the things that is reported there is that when it rains, the inside of the church is dry, as if there was a roof on top.
That's weird.
Rain doesn't touch the inside of the church, even though there's no roof.
That is weird.
Mm-hmm. When people drive by in the night, they say that they can see the lights in the church on through the window, like that the windows are glowing as if there's a light in the church. And they also sometimes report actually seeing a roof on the church, even though there is no roof, as they drive by, as if it's just a functioning. It's like, But ever since they knocked it down, so they knocked it the rest of the way down, the reasoning is that they say that they were tired of everyone going out there, but all of these people snooping around, and because it is on private property, and they don't want people going on there. But people will still sneak in and
so
do
what
stuff.
Strange individuals own this piece of land?
I don't know. I don't know who owns it.
666 L Street, bottomless pit.
I don't know. So they locked it down in the hopes that would deter people from coming out there, right? But things have gotten kind of weirder, because now people will drive by and they say that they still see the church standing.
Like a mirage.
Yeah. Like, even though they destroyed, knocked it, the building is still manifesting somehow when people, and they can see it when they drive by. So
what would be your speculation of these churches that are around the country? How many of them do you think are literally a front for entities that practice the opposition of what a church stands for?
It's a, It's a very, very, very good thing you brought that up, Naysay, because that is one of the main theories as to what is going on in Stull. Is that that the community there, and this goes back to what I was talking about, why they make you feel extremely unwelcome, and they don't
They're
want
crazy end of days demonic cult, man.
And a lot of the speculation and what's been talked about, like I said, for as long as I can remember hearing about Stull, from even when I was young, is that that they were pretending to be one thing but doing another thing. Let's just put it that way. That they were pretending to be a place of holy worship, but we're doing the complete opposite in there. So yeah,
he said it. Why'd you go there?
How long back does this haunting go, Scotty? The whole Stull thing. Did you manage to kind of like get a history on it when you were looking into it?
Well, there's a couple of different sort of storylines, I guess you could say. The one that I've heard was that they executed some woman back in the 1800s. They accused her of being a witch, and they hung her from a tree out back behind the church.
2020's crazy, I tell you. We ain't lived at all, man.
Some say that it wasn't them accusing her of being a witch and hanging her, and the other thing I've heard is that it was a ritual sacrifice that occurred from this group of people that were pretending to be one thing and doing another, that were actually practicing the dark arts out there under the guise of being a church. And that's what that was. And that may have played something into opening the portal. Let's just
another classic Halloween horror figure, the witch. Which witch is the good witch and which witch is the bad witch, because they're all in Oz. They're in Kansas with Scotty.
They are all in Oz with Kansas. You're right. You're absolutely right. We had witches casting spells. There's always witches casting spells. I wonder how many covens. Literal witches covens, because they're still a thing, folks. There are still covens out there, whether good, bad,
tonight
or in the middle.
On TFR, Paisley Wild.
Yeah.
There you go. We've got our own little coven here on TFR. Well, that'll start a bajillion rumors, right? But you think about some of the stuff that probably is. I mean, we like our woo. We sometimes get a laugh with it, but right now, or probably into tomorrow through the night and things, there's going to be a lot of crazy, creepy magic getting spelled, right? Lots of it.
Well, like you were talking earlier, Kev, about when you sit around and you scare yourself. We start discussing this stuff and speculating on these things, and next thing you know, it's mob mentality, and all of a sudden some poor woman, because she's an herbalist and she's helping a lot of other women, and she might be a little humorous towards a man, next thing you know, she's labeled a witch.
True. You could be picking herbs in the forest back in the day and get labeled as a witch, It's craziness, man.
Hey, back in the day, exhibiting certain forms of common sense labeled you being a witch or being a heretic, right? I mean,
Well, you know how they talk about witch marks on a body?
Mm-hmm.
So like allegedly there's all these different markings on your body that are considered witch markings
But the
or
third nipple.
devil marks. Well, maybe something of that nature. But I am like covered with moles.
Oh, I'm like a roly mole as well, man. Not good.
Of all shapes and sizes. So I probably would have been declared a manipulator of the light arts, dark arts. Whose perspective?
Look what they used to do to albinos.
Yeah.
Who were born an albino? They were considered some some entity of the dark one, and that they
I'll
had to
be perfectly honest with you, dude. Albinos scare the. I don't know, man. I don't know, dude.
You know that albino?
I
the
apologize.
albino in Hollywood?
I apologize to any albinos.
Wasn't it the Da Vinci Code, the movie, where the bad guy was like played, but he was meant to be the albino guy, and oh man, that just added an extra layer of creep factor to me. Listen, it is what it is. I don't mean to offend any albinos out there, but I just find it creepy. I'd be lying otherwise, you know?
African American albinos are considered useful when having sorcery and casting spells.
See, they're magic. See, I've got it right. See.
I mean, but isn't that that seems to be another one of the common sort of
misconceptions, maybe?
Oh no, not only that, just it's a common thing when it comes to creepy and spooky and just disturbing. It's always the pale figure, like you said, and and even though it's an albino, they would fall under that the slender man is a pale figure.
The rake, man. The rake's the ultimate albino. Look at it. Holy moly.
Rake is a pale.
Shamu.
Then you also have the when it comes to like ghosts and paranormal, the common theme of the white woman, right? The white lady. It's always some kind of a pale specter or creature of some kind that just gives you the heebie-jeebies, man.
Yeah. I don't know. It just is. Maybe it just puts me in mind of the whole rake thing. I don't know what it is. How about? Well, we're about to go to the break now, but I've got just a little quick creepy story from Scotland then, since people seem to think that Scotland is one of these creepy supernatural hotspots, and let me tell you, it bloody well is. So let me tell you a quick story about the ghost in the bath. Yes, indeed. Blythewood Square in Glasgow was a place to live in the 1800s. But when Captain Smythe moved into his new Des Res, he took a dislike to the bathroom, finding it dark and sinister. One night, just as he was about to enter the tub, he saw an apparition of a beautiful woman strangle somebody in the bath. Weeks later, his son saw the bloated body of an old man in the water. The Smythes swiftly moved out, only to discover the former residents were a wealthy old man who had been found dead in the bath, and his beautiful young Spanish wife, who inherited his fortune, was never seen again.
That is a right good ghosty story right there, my friend.
Well, trust me, back in the 1800s, Blythewood Square sounds like a very, very upper market place in Glasgow. Still is upper market. Only difference is instead of ghosts going around Blythewood Square, how would you describe it? Ladies of the night. I ain't talking about pale ladies or headless. You feel me? You get me, man. They're tricking and treating. You see?
Bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, you like that one? That was quite clever. That I like that.
Yeah,
blah blah. They come out at night.
A lot of creepy Johns up that way, you know. Yep. Ding, ding, ding. Yes,
ding,
there
ding.
you go. So we're about to go to the break, boys. When we come back, we're already halfway through Freaky Friday. And I can't even imagine, I can't wait to find out what Brent Thomas is going to give you today on the Paranormal portal. It's going to be full woo from here on in on TFR, Scott and Kev, right?
Oh, no doubt. You know Brent Thomas is going to come in both guns a-blazing, dude.
Yep.
This is his realm. Look, we're just the warm up act, people.
We've just got the dry ice on. We're just firing up the Ouija board. We're just kind of going for him, you know?
Yeah, this is the realm of Brent Thomas. This is we've phased into his reality. That's where we're located right now. Maybe
I should pull out the Ouija board. What does a Freaky Friday ghost say? Whoa, whoa.
Oh, indeed.
Sorry about that. Mr. Bean. Not the Mr. Bean off the telly. Bill Bean. He was messaging there, so I got waylaid and distracted, boys. But you took us out to the break like the true professionals you are.
Indeed. I'm sure Mr. Bean is ready to do battle around this time of the year, isn't he?
Oh, I can't imagine what it'd be like being Bill Bean at this time of year, man. He probably wakes up in the morning surrounded by the souls of haunted people. Oh,
Gnostic sources which describe
Oh, sorry.
I'm just picturing Bill Bean as if you've ever played a game like Diablo or something like that, right?
Oh, right. I remember that one on the computer.
Yep.
Oh, definitely. Bill Bean reminds me of like the cleric class, right? Ready to do holy damage and just run in and wield his staff and just completely obliterate the forces of evil.
Call forth the forces of light, man.
Well, I'd like to talk to Bill Bean about my ancestors talk about trapping entities and putting them into objects.
That sounds
like
very
negative
akin
entities.
to. It sounds very akin to the old Dybbuk boxes and things where
Yes.
I think it's the Jewish faith. I think they deal in the Dybbuk boxes. Now that's a scary thing altogether. But what you're saying there, Kev, that sounds almost like you're indwelling a spirit into an object, or is it another? Don't say it's another person, dude.
Well,
this is it. Is if you are possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to get that spirit out. Remember, Jesus cast out the spirits and put them into the pigs. And what did the pigs do? They went and drowned themselves. But what if, Speculation Island, what if these entities after the flood refused to stop cannibalizing and drinking the blood of people? And so the entities of good changed them into swine.
Oh,
Who knows, man?
And that's why people don't eat pig, because they used to be a distant relative of ours.
Interesting. Interesting,
More
no
cannabis.
doubt.
More cannabis. More cannabis.
Man, where was I going to go? I was going to go somewhere, and I lost my train.
More woo. Come on. Let's go
warm and
spelunking.
fuzzy and friendly and cuddly.
Oh, in Kev's arms.
Yeah.
This is some really good sativa I'm smoking tonight, gentlemen.
Well, enjoy.
I was trying to get my camera working because I have my wizard hat I wanted to put out, and I actually have a magic wand I was going to get too.
Nice.
Hey, there we go. think that's about time. Where are we? Nearly time. Nearly time to go back. Second half of Freaky Friday. Here we go.
Should we go cryptid?
Go cryptid, Scott. Do it. Go full cryptid, man.
Oh, I gotta mute. Bigot.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second half of tonight's Freaky Friday Halloween special right here on TFR Live. Scotty Lopez, he is giving us a grand magical mystery tour of all the Stull hot spots and cold spots and gates to hell and Kansas. Not just Stull that really makes it stand out, because Scott was telling me today and I couldn't believe it, and I'm about to find out now. He says, you know, Kev, there's cryptids here that I've never heard of. I mean, we talk about the bunyip, we talk about this one, we talk about that one. Let's go full cryptid, Mr. Lopez. Talk to me about the Kansas cryptids.
Well, it's not just Kansas, it's cryptids all around.
No, that makes it worse. I thought it was just you that had to worry about them. Now come on, man.
Come on, man. Excuse me, it's man.
Come on, man.
Well, I have an extensive list of cryptids and monsters here, and a lot of these I've never heard of. Maybe some of you have. I don't know, but we can pick from the bag of cryptids here, and then delve into whichever one catches our attention. So
like a lucky dip of like creepy monsters. This is cool.
Yeah.
It used to be in Scotland. Used to duke for apples. Did you guys over there duke for apples? You used to do that. You get the fork and you kind of duke the head in and try and get the apples. You try and bite them and things. No.
Oh, bobbing for apples. Yeah.
Duking for apples, man. Come on, man. Bobbing. We go duking over here, man. Only not it's like our heads. Because you got to remember, Scottish people fight with their heads, so we duke with our heads, man. Get your dukes up.
See, when you said duking for apples, I was thinking, come on, put your dukes up, like
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Yes, indeed.
So should I start
duked for apples.
You haven't lived until you've duked for apples. None of your bobbing bloody Americans.
Yeah. So should I start from the top?
Interesting. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to start from the top of the list, and if it seems like something that is interesting, we'll go for it. If it's something we've covered before, then maybe we'll skip it. But we'll start with number one. Now, this is an interesting name here. The Altamaha, the serpent of the Altamaha River of Georgia. Have you heard of this, Kev?
Doesn't ring a bell.
No, that doesn't ring a bell for me. So, very interesting. It looks very Nessie-like, Kev.
Oh.
Pretty interesting. They have a sketch of it. So, it says, near the mouth of the Altamaha River in southeastern Georgia is said to reside a hissing sea monster called Altamaha for the river, or Alti for short. The legend predates British English colonialization and is said to have originated with the lower Muskegee Creek tribe. So this goes back to the natives speaking of this thing. So very interesting. It says, ooh, okay.
That was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. It says, one of the largest rivers in the state of Georgia. It empties into the Atlantic Ocean and has one of the largest river basins in the country, second only to the Mississippi River. Extending about 137 miles, it joins up with three major tributaries that the Ocmulgee and Oconee rivers near Lumberton City, and joined further downriver by the Ohope River. It empties out into Altamaha Sound above Brunswick, where it is joined by the Darien, Butler, and Chapney rivers before making its way to the ocean. So it goes into, more about the river, but it says the Altamaha is said to inhabit the myriad of small streams and twisting channels of the river and adjacent marshes, particularly around Darien, Butler Island, and elsewhere in McIntosh County. This strange cryptid is described as having a are you ready, Kev? Sturgeon-like body.
Yeah, you just really took Halloween and ruined it. You made it like too creepy. Come on, man.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare you, Scott? Come on.
I figured you would appreciate that.
Was last night, was I not triggered enough for you last night? Did I not make a big enough fool of myself already over Sturgeon the fish,
Have we found another classic monster, the creature from the Black Lagoon?
Yes. It's
Maybe.
a big creepy sturgeon fish, so it is. That's what it is, man. Came right up from the bottom.
It has a sturgeon-like body, including a bony ridge on its top.
I've got such a false impression of what this thing looks like right now, and it's not good. Probably what I'm picturing is even creepier than what the monster itself looks like. It's horrendous.
With front flippers and no back limbs. It swims like a dolphin and has
Christmas.
And has the snout of a crocodile. Hey, that might be
a reptile.
With large.
You want some Macy Woo?
No, depending. Hang on. Wait, we get through this monster.
Okay.
It says with large protruding eyes and a large sharp teeth. Its coloring is said to be gray or green with a whitish yellow underbelly. Reports indicate that it's 20 to 30 feet long, though some have stated seeing similar or smaller or larger creatures, suggesting that the Altamaha is not alone. It has been reportedly been seen basking itself on the shore, trolling casually along the river, and even has reacted defensively while in the presence of boaters. Though no physical evidence of the Altamaha has been found, the tales date back for centuries, with the natives describing a giant snake-like creature that hissed and bellowed. This is one of the first non-native reports of the creature was on April 18th, 1830, when a correspondent of the Savannah, Georgian newspaper reported multiple sightings of a sea monster on the Georgian coast. The primary eyewitness was a Captain Delano of the schooner Eagle, who reported seeing a large creature off of St. Simons Island below the mouth of the Altamaha River. His description stated it was about 70 feet long. That's a big boy right there.
Yeah, big time. That rules out any kind of I'd hope it rules out an eel. It's a big eel,
Yeah.
You know how they love to say that monsters are eels nowadays, Scott. I'm just throwing it out there. It's not a particular theory that I add any weight to, but hey-ho.
Yeah. So he reported it was about 70 feet long. Its circumference about the size of a barrel, and its head resembled that of an alligator. 5 other men on the schooner also reported having seen the monster, as well as several planters on St. Simons Island. In the 1920s, timbermen riding the river reported sighting a large snake-like water monster. And in 1935, a group of hunters spotted what they called a giant snake swim through the river. And in the 1940s, Boy Scouts reported seeing the creature, as well as 2 officials from the Reedsville State Prison.
Well, is that not feasible? I mean, that is very feasible, right? You get these, I mean, snakes that do go water, right? I mean, are we talking about maybe a species that hasn't been discovered or not catalogued or something like that, Scott? You know?
I mean, maybe it could be a sea snake
I
of
would
some
expect
kind.
to find them down in the Amazon or something like that, but hey, you know.
But look, large snakes like that aren't really native to that area.
Yeah, that's the weird bit. Yeah.
So it's only fairly recently that there's been a problem where boas and pythons that have been released by people who keep exotic pets and
who think it'd be a good idea to get one for Christmas and then realize, oh, hang on a minute, it's sizing me up to eat me.
Or they've escaped their enclosures or something like that. And now they've become a problem of being an invasive species, right? So, I mean, because you got to figure the swampy, marshy environment of the coast of Georgia, you know, the whole Gulf Coast is perfect for pythons and boa constrictors, you know, but they're not native to that area. But I don't know about back in the 1800s. Or, you know, as far back as when that was reported. Yeah, 1830s. And, you know, so there must be something out there. And I think if people are reporting it having an alligator-like head, you know, it doesn't sound like a snake to me. And that it has flippers or these fins in the front. It seems to be something different. And I don't know.
You want me to add in a bit of new Loch Ness monster woo that I've been kind of digging up here. This is pretty weird. I'm gonna send a picture to the chat over at TFR. Where are we? There it is. There's my browser for that. Give me 2 seconds. I'm sending a picture. What you're gonna see is something called the Great Orm, ORM, of Loch Ness. Now, for people listening and aren't in the chat room or aren't on YouTube, then what we're looking at is an old carving in stone. It's a Pictish carving that goes back to the 6th or between the 6th and 9th AD. And what is on it appears to be at the top a snake that's winding around. It's got something in the snake's mouth. It's hard to really see what it is. But the interesting thing about this Pictish carving is that it was found at somewhere called Balmacan Balmacan House. Now that got destroyed back in the 1800s. But this stone was discovered in and around the banks of Loch Ness, near Drum the Droghett, and it looks as if the Picts, for some reason, were drawing snakes on stone. Or is it a snake? Because there's another way of looking at it, and that is that the neck's coming up above the horizontal line, and a hump's coming up above the horizontal line.
Oh,
and it looks like it could be a long-necked animal with a hump coming out of a horizontal plane. Water, maybe? I don't know. It's a bit weird if that's near Loch Ness. And that there is the Great Orm of Loch Ness. Hey, new woo.
Hey, when as soon as you said that horizontal line, that immediately clicked in my...
And I was looking at this, Scott. They call this a Z flash or a Z stroke. The actual meaning of it, nobody actually knows. A lot of the Pictish iconography, their symbols, it's very easy to make out because it's not too abstract. It's like animals or a landmark. But then there's other things like the the bit at the bottom here, you've got two stone circles, or two circles in stone. One of them is a circle within a circle, and then at the very center there's another circle. And then it's joined on to another wheel. And that looks like a wheel within a wheel, but something different about that. Now, I find that interesting because of Loch Ness as well. Because you've got Clava Cairns, the stone circle up there. But remember, you've also got the stone circles that were found in Loch Ness. I don't know. There's something weird and woo to all of that, man. I don't know what to make of it.
Can I just throw an out of left field interesting thing that immediately just made me think of something when I saw that? Those two circles to me look like, for some reason, my mind immediately went to two particles that are connected together, quantumly entangled.
That's a very good. You're right. That's one way that you often see things like that being depicted. Now, people might think that's bizarre. What are you talking about? You talked about the 6th century AD. Well, hold your horses, because remember, the Dogon, way over in northern Africa, seems totally unrelated to everything we're talking about with Loch Ness, right? But how the hell does the Dogon come into play? And where does quantum come into it? Well, if you look into the research of Laird Scranton and his research on the Dogon and all of their cosmological story, their origin story, there's a lot of their symbols and hieroglyphs that look very much like it's depicting things in quantum physics. Now, make of that what you will. You could do a whole show on it. I urge you, check out Laird Scranton, but how does that connect in with Scotland? Well, Laird's also taken a look at some prehistoric buildings that are up on the Orkneys, I believe, Skara Brae. And it turns out that the people in the north of Scotland on these remote islands were building exactly the same types of houses as the people down in the Sahara or the Dogon that had this knowledge of Sirius A and B. So, look, I don't know what's going on there. I'm not saying they are connected. They're all data points. Whether they connect or not, I don't know. But to your point, Scott, there's a potential that quantum stuff was known back then. There's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new. So it wouldn't surprise me, dude.
No. You know, and like I said, that was just my own interpretation of what popped in my head when I seen it. I mean, there's many other ways you could interpret those.
Everyone's going to interpret it different, aren't they?
And that's the thing. We really don't know what was being depicted on there, which is what makes it such a mystery, right? Because this is obviously some knowledge that we don't understand, we don't know about. So very, very interesting indeed.
Yeah, that was a bit of random woo thrown in there. Since I am now the monster guy, yeah, I thought I'd throw that one in.
Monsters. Speaking of monsters, should we go to our next monster on the list? See if we've heard of it.
Hold on, because Nacy was going to butt in with his woo. Remember? With Nacy,
yes.
Nacy, we're back to your woo.
Go for it.
Okay, so as we were talking about the Missouri River and what was happening there, if you recall, last summer I went to a Sundance, and during this Sundance, it was right along the Missouri River. The first night we had a really bad rainstorm, and during the rainstorm, while I was sleeping, I thought I was visited in my tent, and that it to me felt like the feeling I got, the belief I got, was that it was something from the river and some type of river creature or entity. And it came into my tent and it walked around my tent and then it was gone. The following day, I asked the Sundance chief, and who recently just passed from this existence in the last month. Sorry. But Galen, miss you, brother. But I asked him, I'm like, what about the river creatures? And he laughed. And asked, why do you ask? And I said, because I explained to him what occurred the night before. And he said, yes, they visit these grounds every now and then. And I asked him if he ever saw them. And before he started talking to me, he was in the middle of doing Sundance stuff, and he got called away. And I never got the opportunity to finish that conversation about these entities. But my ancestry, the Anishinaabe, we talk about entities from the water. And if you go up to northern Minnesota along the border of Canada and you look up the teaching rocks, you'll find petroglyphs that will show these same kind of things of the snake or the spiral or possibly a sine wave. Who knows what the meaning of the metaphor is?
There's almost like music playing in the background. It's like we're
It's
there with
almost
you.
like that.
Yeah, it's like we're there with you, Kev. Isn't it? No,
Yeah.
all joking aside, though, take a listen to this, folks. That's pretty relaxing, right? Rain and Native American flutes. I like that. I like that.
Now
yeah.
I feel like I got to start speaking Anishinaabe.
Hey, if you feel the urge, dude, you feel the urge.
Aki Minawa Gawa Babigani Kog Indunjaba Oma Nungum Moorhead, Minnesota Chi Miigwech Ginikana Ape Gish Minobimitizi Wewion.
I'm
Nice.
liking it, man.
Excellent.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Always feels good to throw that out every now and then. And then I talk in the language that all of you can understand.
I like this, man. I tell
Come
you.
with us on this journey of the woo.
But listen, you know, I sometimes like to fall asleep to, this is going to sound bizarre, right? Sherlock Holmes audiobooks, right? I know, it's weird, but the voice, a well-told story, you fall asleep, I know, right? But I would like to listen to this. That's some relaxing stuff to sleep to there, man. That's better than Sherlock. Yeah, yeah.
You can find one of my friends. His name is Mitch Walking Elk or Lakota George, and they're both incredible musicians. And I wish I had some dexterity because I myself, I play native flute, or I did when I had dexterity.
Like the flute, Kevin, for instance, is that vibrations that, like, I've spoke to Luna and Donnie about the didgeridoo and the vibration, the frequency that comes off that and how it can be used for healing. And is there a similar thing there with the flute?
Absolutely, because everything is fields when you break it down, and when you use the fields to manipulate the fields, a lot of miraculous things can occur, as they do right inside of universe.
Yep. Nope, I agree. There's something. You're hitting some kind of resonant frequency and synchronizing for,
It's the same with the drums, right? When they've got the drums and that going, man.
healing effects or whatever you want to try and affect. It depends on the frequency pulses, the rhythms, and all of that stuff. It all has a huge effect. That's why there's a very visceral reaction when people hear a beat. Right, there's something in us to where we start to hear a steady rhythm or a beat, a pattern of some sort. We start falling into it, and it can put you into a trance and put you into a altered state depending on how powerful it is. So,
how about a quick story before the break, Scott? Another quick Scottish one. Yeah.
Go for it. You got Scottish woo over there. Yeah. Hit it up, man.
And then we'll get back to your monsters after the break. We're going to have are you ready for this? the Hound of Roslin Castle.
Oh,
Yes. Deep in Roslin Glen, this 13th century castle is said to be haunted by the ghost of a huge dog whose English master was slain in the castle during a battle. The dog is said to have attacked his master's killer and was swiftly dispatched by the Scottish soldiers. Later, the ghost of the dog appeared to the soldiers. No one was hurt by the canine spectre until it encountered the man who had slain its master. The soldier is said to have passed away, and it was a long and terrifying passing. And that there is the legend of the Hound of Roslin, not Chapel, but Roslin Castle. And of course, there's tunnels that go from there to the chapel. There's even tunnels that go from Edinburgh to Roslin. What jiggery pokery were they doing down in those tunnels, let me tell you. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere. No cloning stations, I promise. None of that. None of that going on. This has been tremendous, boys. It's been a good effort so far, I must admit.
Telling you, I tried to drag some stuff up.
But you see, Scott, this is it, right? Sometimes, we just show up and things, but when you deliver, you're like the postman, dude. You always deliver,
Every once in a while, people, we actually do dig up some content.
I was getting scared you were going to use that R word there, like research. I was going to, we don't do that. We Google.
That's why I said we look up some content.
Yeah.
And we little bit of preparation before the show.
Regurgitate.
On occasion, we'll do it. Mostly, it's just
Monsters next, yes. We're
Magic,
going back to the creepy
magic
monsters.
With a K.
because
you can keep your Crowley magic with a... I tell you what then, folks. I tell you what, right? I tell you what, right? I'll get you something creepy. Right now, okay? Hang on now, hang on. I am going to deliver the creep factor right here. Where are you?
Do you have anything in your studio, Kev, that can swing like a pendulum or anything without touching it where you're at right now?
I'm not doing any crazy magic.
How about you, Scotty?
Crazy madman.
Nothing that I can reach. I'm in the same dexterity limitations as you, Mr. Naysay. So yeah.
This weekend I wanted to talk to my daughters about magic and divination because they're manipulate the fields, teach our young ones that they are the miraculous perfection of unique individuals.
Oh, I forgot.
Is it on the other account, Kim?
Oh, it's on my... No! I would play you something really creepy. I would, if my mum's out there, and I know you're listening, could you send me that video from Kenny? You know the one. The one
Good
he just
evening,
found.
Mom.
So hopefully she'll send that through and we'll get it on the next break. But I tell you what, it's some creepy EVP type woo, man.
Good. I love some EVP action.
Oh, big time.
When we get back, I'm going to have to raise your Hound of Roslin Castle with a Hell Dogs.
Nah, that's not fair. That's like turning up to a knife fight with a gun. That's like a cross species. You've gone too far out, man.
How about if I raise both of you in pull up exorcism
I
clip.
was going to say, he's going to start conjuring up demons or something, man.
No, Kev, you're gonna break my heart saying I will acknowledge and recognize the demon, but I will not have anything to do with them.
I honestly didn't mean you were going to do it, Kev. You know me. I say
But
these
if I
things
could switch a demon,
purely for infotainment effect. I don't expect you to be conjuring any demons between now and forever, Kev, right? I would never expect that of you.
one man's demon is another man's angel.
It's true, though, right? It's true.
Creepy.
It's true. It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Factually correct, you know? Right, yep. Right.
Falconelli.
I better check the time. Yeah, because we're late. Here we go.
Falconelli.
There we go. We are back. We are live, and we're about to get into some more creepy monsters right here on Freaky Friday.
Yes.
1 hour remaining. I tell you what, you've done well so far. You have handled the woo, but it's about to go up several notches. And that's only to warm you up for Brent Thomas, because he will take you way, way, way further down the rabbit hole right after Freaky Friday. But we've still got Scott, we've still got Kevin, and we've still got me, Dave. We've got lots more to get into here. So Scott, you're going to raise my Hound of Roslin by what? What have you got up your sleeve, man? Come on.
Yes. I raise your Hound of Roslin Castle with a Hell Dogs.
You see, Hell Dogs, there's nothing that combats the Hell Dog. I've thought about this for a long time. Nothing tops the Hell Dog. Yeah.
Yes, so the Hell
They're like
Dog.
the Hounds of the Baskerville that I was listening to with Sherlock the other night. How synchronistic's that, right?
There you go. See. It all comes together. It says, man per man and mile per mile, Eldorado Canyon in Nevada has a wider range of historical events than anywhere in the Wild West. This rich history, coupled with the turbulent events taking place in Eldorado Canyon in the 19th century, has led to numerous ghost stories of dead miners, natives, and pioneers who once roamed the area. However, some of the most fascinating are the ghostly tales of canine spirits. Reportedly, during the rowdy mining days, many of the prospectors kept dogs as their claim sites, kept dogs at their claim sites to protect their property. Reared to attack at the slightest trespass by strangers, the dogs were often extremely vicious. Man's best friend or not, many of these dogs were shot, left chained at the claim site to die, or released into the wild. When the gold played out and the miners left the area over the years, numerous tales of sightings of these many spectral hounds have been told by exploring visitors and locals alike, and few even tell of being attacked by these ferocious canine apparitions. One story told on the Shadowlands website describes two brothers who were compelling to test the validity of or they were compelled to test the validity of the canine tales. Exploring the area, they soon found an old mine shaft where they noticed an ancient weathered chain embedded into the rock wall. Near the entrance, entering the old mine, they came upon a pile of bones that appeared to be those of a large dog. As the sun was quickly setting, they determined to camp near the mine shaft. Sitting around a small campfire, they listened to what sounded like coyotes yipping in the distance. Not alarmed, they ate dinner around the fire until both men began to feel uneasy as the atmosphere changed.
Oh, and the mist fell.
It just got real, buddy.
Shit, it got right squirrely when the mist came down, dude.
The coyotes, it was fine, but once things started to shift, once the atmosphere started to shift, things started getting a little dodgy, right?
Yeah.
So it says, as the atmosphere changed, seemingly thick and somehow charged.
Dude, hang on now, right? All joking aside, though, that to me sounds like a static, electric-y type feeling, and it's the way that people describe that mist that we keep coming across. I know it's like a figure of speech, it's like the atmosphere's charged, but, like, you know, squirrely.
It's that feeling you get, like Naysay described, you know, when he had his little incident by the bathrooms in you know, on patrol. There's this sudden shift in the actual atmosphere, or you know, your reality around you. Something changes where you're phasing. Some things are not the same.
You've just entered the twilight zone. There's a soul sucker somewhere. Ah!
You know, and it makes you wonder. I mean, if these things are manifesting in, they're drawing energy from the atmosphere.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. Do you think it's like a 3-second rule? Do you think, like, if you get out of there in 3 seconds and get rid of that, get away from the area of gnarliness, do you think that's you safe, or do you think once you feel that, you're in its presence, dude? It's hooked on. It's there, like a face
over
sucker.
the starboard bow. Over the starboard bow, I see Speculation Island.
I tell you what, we lost sight of that a while ago, Kev. Yeah.
Well, I'm just digging up this entrance to the rabbit hole to go down, because you didn't realize there's a few rabbit holes there on Speculation Island.
Oh, it's littered with, it's like Swiss cheese, Kev. I've seen the blueprints.
Speculation Island has so many holes in it. It would be like if you went to Oak Island and there was like 1 million money pits just scattered.
Well,
I honestly think that might happen to Oak Island one day, dude. I think they're just going to start digging somewhere, and the lagunas are going to be no more. They're just going to fall down into the Atlantic, man. Like
I wasn't sure you guys. I wasn't sure you guys received the memo or the need to know about the rabbit holes on Speculation Island, because Hangar 18 blueprints are somewhere around there.
Yeah, I believe there is an uncharted chamber under the eastern side of Speculation Island that allegedly somebody at some point told somebody else that maybe that there's the remains, the DNA of Hangar 18. And hey, if we ever excavate the DNA with CRISPR and our genetic technology now, we might be able to resurrect it. It's a mission for the future. You never know.
So if we are electromagnetic energy and essence, and our body
we're
is
not,
an
we're just
orchestra,
a brain in a jar. We decided that, remember?
Well, as we're pondering our existence in the jar, if we are energy and everything, even when you touch a counter, little subatomic particulates of your skin rub off, and so we leave residue. So if we go out and about and we meet somebody else that may be attached by a certain entity that's sniffing out for that favorite smell, that favorite frequency, because they know of your illumination, can they not next jump to the next and jump to the next, and sooner or later they'll sniff you out because of your essence, your frequency, your energy is a little bit to their liking because you taste like chicken? Metaphorically.
I would say anything is on the table, man. I'm looking at what Kev's looking at here. He's literally
you take us on with your story, Scotty boy. You get us into our woo.
No, look, people. He's literally looking up brains in jars. I mean,
hey, listen, man, listen. It's all good. It's all good. I can't remember. I had a brain in a jar on one of my shows the other day.
The Google algorithm probably is like, what is this man's interests? Because
it is a brain in a jar.
How often do people search for brains in jars, do you think?
Well, if it's my search engine, probably more than you'd actually think. There I am, just to remind people, I'm going to put it there, just beside me. Oh, never forget, that's all I am. Just a brain in a jar.
Igor selected the wrong jar. Remember, he selected Abby Normal in Young Frankenstein.
There you go. I tell you, you've got like a catalogue, like a photographic kind of store of all these movies, isn't it? It's like a roller deck of them in his mind, man. He just rattles through them there.
If it's a horror movie or a comedy, more likely I've remembered it or seen it.
Come on then, what's your most disturbing horror movie then, Macy?
There's two of them that come straight to mind that scared the living bejesus out of me. The one was called Trilogy of Terror, and it was in the 70s. And the last story was about this little miniature 12-inch African voodoo doll that comes to life.
That actually rings a bell, but I don't know if it's that film that you're talking about there, but that whole miniature doll thing, that's a weird thing again. That's like that creepy puppet that we were talking about with the guy that had the Dybbuk box from Loch Ness.
Yes. And after you started talking about puppet and I heard about the definition of it, everywhere for the next like 3-4 days, I was talking to people about puppets and they were bringing up puppets.
Well, guess what? You mentioned the haunting of Bly Manor earlier on, Bly House. The girl in that's one of her favourite toys, little puppets. And one of them was made out of Hessian sack. Just like the one in the box that the guy got from Boleskine.
See?
Magic.
Now look, this goes back to where I during the break when I lost my train of thought and forgot what I was going to say. Now I remember. It came back.
Because I brought the brain in the jar back. You're connected, see?
Yeah, there we go. You got me back on track. Frequencies have been reestablished. We were discussing the possibility of being able to tie an entity or something to an object, right? I think that's what we're talking about before. And yeah, that's what reminded me. We had the poppet that was inside the Dybbuk box or trapping a spirit inside of a Dybbuk box. This gets into the entire realm of paranormal research where there's a whole realm of haunted objects, right? Not just like haunted locations and seeing spirits, but these objects having some kind of energy or entity tied to it. And you see that with like haunted dolls.
All dolls are haunted. They're scary, man. Whoa. Don't get my mum going with that Chuckles character. No.
Even like keepsakes or charms or even like knickknacks or figurines and stuff like that. Watches, just all kinds of different things could have some kind of energy or a spirit or an entity or something tied to it. So I think there is definitely something to that. This gets into like golems, right? Isn't a golem just an object that that has an entity that fills the void? You know what I mean? So it definitely, I think, is a thing. And if you look at a lot of the spiritual beliefs and stuff of Asian cultures, like in Japan, they believe that all objects have some kind of a spirit tied to it.
Don't the Chinese have the hungry ghost? The Chinese have the hungry ghost. Hang on now.
Like in Japan.
Yeah, here we go.
What is what's
the hungry ghost is a concept in Chinese Buddhism, Chinese traditional religion. Vietnamese Buddhism, and Vietnamese traditional religion, representing beings who are driven by intense emotional needs in an animalistic way. The term literally hungry ghost are the Chinese and Vietnamese translation of the term preta in Buddhism. Hungry ghosts play a role in Chinese Buddhism, the ones we mentioned before. The term is not to be confused with the generic term for ghost or damnation. The understanding is that all people become such a regular ghost when they die, and would then slowly weaken and eventually die a second time. Hungry ghosts, by contrast, are a much more exceptional case and would only occur in very unfortunate circumstances, such as if a whole family, if something happened to them, or when a family no longer venerated their ancestors. And with the rise in popularity of Buddhism, the idea became popular that souls would live in space until reincarnation. In the Taoist tradition, it is believed that hungry ghosts can arise from people who have passed away when it's been violent or they're unhappy. Both Buddhism and Taoism share the idea that hungry ghosts can emerge from neglect or desertion of the ancestors. And according to the Hua Yen Sutra, evil deeds will cause a soul to be reborn in one of 6 different realms. The highest degree of evil deed will cause a soul to be reborn as a denizen of hell. A lower degree of evil will cause a soul to be reborn as an animal, and the lowest degree will cause the soul to be reborn as a hungry ghost. According to tradition, evil deeds that lead to becoming a hungry ghost are taking somebody's life, stealing, or a lot of brown chicken, brown cow. You get what I'm saying? Desire, greed, anger, and ignorance are all factors in causing a soul to be reborn as a hungry ghost, because they are motives for people to perform evil deeds.
Oh, so it's kind of like you're just stuck in limbo, right? What would be the Christian sort
Purgatory. Is that it? Purgatory.
Yeah, something like that. Where you're just stuck in limbo, you can't move on, you're just kind of roaming. Are these hungry ghosts some of these things that inhabit objects because they need some place to dwell, Kev? You can't be running around naked all the time, even if you're a ghost. You got to wear something. You got to find a home somewhere.
Here's a story, right? One story is of a rich man who traveled selling sugarcane juice. One day a monk came to his house looking for some juice to cure an illness. The man had to leave, so he instructed his wife to give the monk the drink in his absence. Instead of doing this, she secretly took a pee-pee in the monk's bowl, added sugarcane juice to it, and gave it to the monk. The monk was not deceived. He poured out the bowl and left, and when the wife died, she was reborn as a hungry ghost. What on earth's name possessed her to do that to the monk's juice? I tell you, there's a backstory there that definitely needs telling at some point.
But look, that's how you end up becoming a hungry ghost. She just felt compelled to do this evil, dastardly deed. And
so was she possessed? Do you think she was possessed, or do you think she just had ambitions to be a hungry ghost?
I don't know. And like you said, maybe there was a little backstory, but either way,
don't go. There's a moral to this story, Scott. Don't go taking sugarcane juice off strangers.
Nah, exactly. That's yeah. And so she bought herself a one-way ticket to Hungry Ghost Land.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Hungry Ghost. Wow, that's weird, dude. That's weird. Yeah. So have you ever heard of the Hungry Ghost, Kev?
Yes, every time he smoked way too much and got the munchies.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right, man. Big time.
But if you think, as we were talking earlier, that we are essence or energy or soul and its power, you would think, in logic sense, the cow eats the grass, we eat the cow, we get the energy from the cow. So, I am afraid to say they're out there eating away. But what are they eating? Physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual? What was that?
It's the ghost of the cow. It's a hungry cow.
I can't confirm or deny a little ghost just came into the house.
Well, I was actually thinking
something.
it sounds like there's a poltergeist behind you, Kev, but just saying. Just saying.
She came to get her Halloween costume.
Okay.
Come
So
on,
should
Scott.
I
Come on,
finish
Scott.
up
Yes,
the,
take us back to the yes, do.
Did I finish up the Hell Dogs of Eldorado?
Although I've now got my hungry ghost standing in front of me fighting the Hellhounds, man.
There we go.
Good fight.
So these guys went out there to see if these hellhounds were real. And they were camping outside of this mine shaft, and all of a sudden things changed and the atmosphere got a little squirrely around them, and they started to feel quite uneasy. Says before long, they heard the sounds of large dogs panting in close proximity, followed by low and hateful growls. With hair no doubt standing upon the back of their necks, they then heard the sound of paws circling around the campsite, scratching noises coming from the shaft where the dog chain was laying. Stealing a glimpse at the shaft, the chain began to move, seemingly being tugged away from the rock wall by an unknown force. As the pulling continued harder each time, the brothers fumbled for their gear and stumbled to their feet. One of them pointed the flashlight towards the chain where scratch marks and blood stains could be seen on the rock. Suddenly the chain dropped, and one of the brothers felt something brush against his leg before both were frantically running for their car. As they drove as fast as they could out of the canyon, they could hear wild panting and canine footsteps as a pack of invisible wild strays kept pace with them for several miles. Locals refer to these spectral hounds as the Hell Dogs of Eldorado Canyon. Blah, blah. So, yes.
That's what they sound like, man.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
I don't want any part of the Hell Dogs of Eldorado Canyon.
What is it though about the whole it seems to be a thing, because if I think of hell, in my mind I've obviously got the big fiery place that the big man himself, Beelzebub, was his forked kind of tail and hoofs and all the rest of it going on, but dogs and chains as well. Where does that imagery come from? Is it an old movie? Is it like just part of the lore? It's quite disturbing. Like, it's usually down. I'm trying to think of the actual dog I'm thinking of. It's not an Alsatian. It's like a big. I think they've got them in The Omen. They've got them in that. I think they're like dark-colored dash hounds or something, man. They're horrible things. Like, but where does that come from? What is it with the dogs in hell?
Yeah, as I say, I mean, the representation of like hellhounds and that they're like, that they're kind of these guardian minions of hell, that there's just this kind of stereotypical kind of archetypal imagery of that kind of stuff.
Hellhounds are called the bearers of death, Scotty boy, because they are supposedly created by ancient demons to serve. as heralds of passing away. According to legend, seeing one leads to a person's deletion. Sometimes it's said to be once, other times it requires 3 sightings for the curse to take effect and the deletion to commence. You like it? I done that? You like that, Scott? You like that? Yeah.
Yeah, we're really good.
Delete. Delete them.
Delete.
Yeah.
That's.
So demons create them, dude. Demons actually conjure them up.
Oh, that's
Now they just took on a whole new air of creepiness, didn't they?
Yeah. But
Should we talk?
I think the representation of the Hellhound is just kind of one of those visceral kind of. It's almost like genetic memory kind of thing, right? Where it just seems to strike a chord, just like going back to what we were talking about earlier, like the cloaked or hooded figure.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about that where you just see that shape, you see that, and even if you're a kid, you just know that there ain't nothing good in that. That's something that's a little sinister and unnerving about that shape, that figure. It's the same like the Hellhounds and stuff like that.
Figure it out how long it's going to be gone until we're back again.
Yes, indeed. So, right, we're on the break, right? I got the video. I got the creepy video. Now then, hang on.
Enter. I can see what's happening. Space.
So that last story about the Hellhound.
Hold on, because I have got something for us all to listen to here. And this is a recent video that my brother found from one of his first trips to Boleskine. And when you hear this in a second, you've got to really concentrate on the end part of it. Because, listen, you're going to hear it. It's not one of these ones. It's going to stand out. Maybe I'll turn this up. No, I need to turn our... He was still playing away, man. He was trying to keep the Hellhounds at bay there, so he was, dude.
Exactly. The Hellhounds were being put in their place.
So, here we go.
What was that? I can't feel. It's not letting me.
Right, you need to go back. I don't think that's the best one. Hang on, I'm going to have to find... There's a better one than that where you can actually hear it. Hold on. Didn't hear it that well on that one. Give me 2 secs. People, give me 2 secs.
Do either of you got a recorder in your home? We can do magic that way too.
This is the better one. Right, here we go. Can't quite hear it. Can you hear it?
I could hear it. Yeah, I could hear it.
The distance,
it's like a scream.
Yeah, you could hear like a scream, dude. I could hear it.
Yeah. Here we go.
Right.
That's it there. Bear in mind, that's like Boleskine House. There's nothing near it. It'd be like nothing to make any noise like that. Now, it could be...
It's like a distant...
Yep.
Like a distant scream, like out in the woods or something.
Yeah, that was the noise that kind of had them getting the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Well,
So, Kev, when I play this, because your hearing is like... It's super hearing compared to people like myself, because obviously you compensate with your ears, right? So, what are you hearing? I'll play it one more time for you here, Kev. I'll play it here. Here you go.
Wait, give me 1 second. I'll put my other headset in. And I got full stereo. Okay, go for it.
You'll be out till dawn. Let's go.
It's dead quiet again. Hang on. Oh, it's because I turned it down a bit. That's it. Here we go.
You'll be out till dawn. Let's go.
Yeah, just before he says "let's go,"
Yeah.
I think he says something dogs, and then you hear this.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what it's like to me as well.
Yep.
Bizarre, right?
Nice.
Yeah, I would be exiting the region too if I heard that.
It's not even
Really?
that,
Would
guys.
ya?
It's not even that. It's like, you know what happened with me and Kenny and everyone that went up there, but it's not just like that visit. Other people who can't give names because they don't want to be known, but they've had things happening. And it's like, it lasts. It's like people have been really affected by whatever the hell's going on there, you know? It's weird. Someday, hopefully, we can get all of these people to talk about what happened. And I tell you, there's a book waiting to happen. Let's go back to the network. Welcome back. Final segment of today's Freaky Friday right here on tfrlive.com. Simulcasting on YouTube as well. So wherever you are, however you're listening, I hope you've had a really great Freaky Friday Halloween special. We got one segment to go. But don't forget, it doesn't stop here. Because I tell you, the creep factor, and I don't mean it about the host, I mean the content. Because Brent is going to deliver you some of the best Halloween woo right after we wrap up here. And it'd mean the world to me, Scott and Kevin. And obviously, Brent, if you could just hold on tight, turn down the lights a little bit more, and get ready for some more creepy woo. So, Scott, back to you, man.
Okay, well, I guess, what was it last week? Were we talking about the Headless Horseman?
Yes.
Could we stay on the Hounds of Hell for a moment, real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Chime in real quick.
Since I'm throwing out all of these movies, there's a great movie. It's a French movie. It's called Brotherhood of the Wolf. And the premise of it is that there is some kind of demon wolf dog that is terrorizing the countryside. And all of a sudden you find that hooded figure in it with a little magic flute and was able to control or manipulate this thing. So if there are these people, because as we were talking earlier, the Goetia, which has supposedly the list of all of the so-called demons.
Is that the 72 demons? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it?
Yep. And what is so specific about that 72 number? Any gentlemen guess? How long?
There's something about 72 in numerology, I believe.
How long do you think a full solar eclipse takes?
72 minutes?
Minutes, yes, from the moment it starts darkening. However, when the moon is closer or further away from the Earth, it will take anywhere from 72 minutes to 77 minutes, because the Goetia, there's 72 demons, and then there's 5 hierarchies of demons on top of that, with a total of 77. 1 and 1, 11, Kevin, Scotty, wheels and wheels within wheels. But I'm really going out on the woo there.
But it's good woo.
Exactly.
So we were discussing the Headless Horseman last week, right? And I don't think it would be a good Halloween without having to bring up the Headless Horseman.
Right? Why not? Why not? We've had it all tonight, man.
Yes. So the Headless Horseman seems to be a reoccurring theme. Last week we discussed the origins of the Headless Horseman here in the United States in the Northeast. But let's take a look at another Headless Horseman of sorts. And we're going to talk about El Muerto, the Headless One of Texas. So in the 1800s, I should say, Texas was a wild and lawless place, attracting all manner of thieves, really bad dudes, and other ruthless outlaws. To combat these mini desperados and fight the natives who were prone to attacking the white settlers, in rode the Texas Rangers, who set about in taming the Texas frontier. The Rio Grande River to the south has been declared the border between the United States and Mexico. However, the Mexican government refused to recognize the boundary, insisting instead that the Nueces River was the border. This left a giant chunk of land between the two rivers, which became known as No Man's Land and a prime target for outlaws. The dispute between the two countries finally forced the United States to go to war with Mexico in 1846 to make the Rio Grande the official border. However, it would take another 30 years before the Texas Rangers could rid the territory of the Mexican cattle rustlers and thieves. The Texas Rangers, a roving posse of expert gunmen, were not meant to be messed with. Following their adversaries everywhere, they lived out of the saddle and often dispensed justice brutally. Two of these men were Creed Taylor and William Alexander Bigfoot Wallace, who was himself a folk hero. It was Bigfoot, with Creed's blessing, who unwittingly created El Muerto. In 1850, a man known simply as Vidal was busy rustling cattle all over South Texas, and soon he had a high price on his head, dead or alive. During that summer, Vidal took advantage of a Comanche raid, which pulled most of the men northward to fight off the attack. In the meantime, the sparse settlements were temporarily left unguarded. Vidal, along with 3 of his henchmen, wasted no time in taking advantage of the situation and gathering up a considerable number of horses on the San Antonio River, heading southwest toward Mexico. What Vidal didn't know was that among the stolen herd were several prized Mustangs belonging to Texas Ranger Creed Taylor, usually one of the first to defend the settlements against native attacks. Had not on this occasion gone after the Comanche, Creed's ranch lay west of San Antonio in the thickest of bandit territory, not far from the headwaters of the Nueces River. Due to the location of the ranch, Taylor's livestock and horses were often targets of many bandits. Taylor had enough and quickly gathered fellow ranger Bigfoot Wallace and nearby rancher by the name of Flores. Both Wallace and Taylor were as skilled as any Comanche when tracking, and the 3 men shortly found the trail of Vidal and his henchmen. When the 3 men found the outlaw camp, they waited until night, when the bandits were sleeping, to attack. Catching them unaware, the thieves were dispatched. But just getting rid of them was not enough. Taylor and Wallace wanted to set an example that would deter future bandits. In those days, stealing cattle and horses was a crime more serious than taking someone's life. The Rangers had tried all types of brutal justice, stringing them up in trees and left hanging, using guns on them, chopping them up, leaving their bodies for animal bait, but nothing had worked to stop the outlaws. In a dramatic example of frontier justice, Wallace beheaded Vidal and lashed him firmly into the saddle on the back of a wild Mustang, tying the outlaw's hands to the pommel and securing the torso to hold him upright. Bigfoot then attached Vidal's head and sombrero to the saddle with a long strip of rawhide. He then turned the bucking horse loose. I know you're away to use the restroom, but what we're talking about here is some old school Texas Ranger justice being dispatched to some Mexican cattle rustler named.
I want to like see if I was to get regressed. I'd like to find out I was kicking about back then, those times, man. I don't know. There's a level of toxicity back then that I can really resonate with, you know?
It was wild back in the day, man. This whole area, the Wild West,
took no prisoners, not for the faint-hearted. Ain't no soy boys survived that time. No, sorry. No.
So,
although assless chaps were a thing back then, which kind of throws a monkey in the works, but hey, you know.
So the Texas Rangers made an example of Vidal and removed Vidal's detached his skull from the rest of his body and tied his body upright to his horse and or to one of the horses he stole, I guess, and sent it on its way for some poor guy to find poor Vidal on his horse, man. So it says, soon stories began to abound about the headless rider seen usually in remote country, with its sombreroed head swinging back and forth to the horse or to the rhythm of the horse's gallop. Ooh, so you see this, just this headless figure on a headless body on a horse with a head and a sombrero just kind of bobbling side to side next to it. Not a good sight. Don't want to see that. It says, as time went on, more and more cowboys spotted the dark horse with its fearsome cargo, and not knowing what it was, knowing what it was, they riddled it with bullets. So they just freaked out. They just started blasting. They did what any good cow.
It's like I say, something like that. You chase it back to hell where it once came from.
Like I said, like any good cowboy, they ain't running from the situation. They're gonna pull out their 6-shooters and start going to town.
Yeah, they're gonna take a swig at scotch first, man. They're gonna throw their lady for the day to the side, and they're gonna take care of business, dude. You know,
hit a swig of whiskey and start going to town, man. You know.
Yeah.
So it says, but the horse and its rider rode on. And the legend of El Muerto, the Headless One, began. Soon the South Texas brush country became a place to avoid, as El Muerto was credited with all kinds of evil and misfortune. Finally, a posse of local ranchers captured the wild pony at a watering hole near the tiny community of Ben Bolt, just south of Alice, Texas. Still strapped firmly on its back was the dried up corpse of Vidal. Now riddled by scores of bullet holes and native arrows, the body was buried in an unmarked grave near Ben Bolt, and the horse was free of its burden at last. That should be the end of El Muerto, but the legend would live on to this day. Soon after Vidal's body was laid to rest, soldiers at Fort
Leavenworth. Say it's Leavenworth. Come on, get that back in here. What a finish that would be to the show, man.
It would be a good finish, but they were soldiers at Fort Ingay, present day Uvalde, began to see the headless rider. Travelers and ranchers in No Man's Land also reported continuing seeing the apparition. In 1917, a couple traveling by a covered wagon to San Diego, Texas, camped for the night outside of town. They would report the next day that as they sat by the campfire, a large gray stallion sped by with a headless man shouting, "It's mine! It's all mine!" Another sighting of the Headless Wanderer was reported near Freer, Texas in 1969. The legend lives on And still today, many people report seeing the Headless Rider galloping through the mesquite on clear and moonlit nights in southern Texas. Ooh, there we go.
I remember.
But may
on you go, Kev.
May I add the miraculousness of it? That if this body was riddled with bullets and arrow, how did the horse survive? That's
it was
the
a
ghost.
magical horse. And I was going to say, there's something about a pale white horse anyway. They're beautiful animals, right? They're beautiful, but they're almost otherworldly. And people are going to get a laugh here, right? But I'll post our favorite animal in the unicorn, right? So when you think of a unicorn, you automatically go to a white horse, don't you? Don't you? Right? So there's something magical about that whole white horse thing. So Kev, I get you, man. I get you, but I think there's some almost supernatural power attached to our equine friends. There we go. We've made a show about bovines being better than us before, Scott. Now the horses have been elevated.
I think there was some divine or spiritual intervention that protected the horse, because the horse was basically an innocent being in all of this, right? Like, it wasn't the horse's fault that he was stolen by Vidal, the Mexican cattle rustler that was,
Not pesky Vidal. You know what I'm saying?
And so black horses, matter of fact, will be unicorns also?
Never pictured one like that though. I've never seen any drawings like that either.
Scary movie, Cabin in the Woods.
Don't go starting a whole new social justice cause, Kev. We don't need.
I know. It could happen nowadays. It could really happen. It could.
So what I think, going to Naysay's point there, is that I think while this poor horse had to haul around the deceased and headless body of Vidal, whenever it would, run past people that would see this and they would freak out, right, and start shooting at it, I think the bullets were it was meant to only hit Vidal and not the horse. The arrows were only meant to hit Vidal and not the horse, and the horse just pulled out unscathed because of some...
Maybe it was the ancestor of Ed the Talking Horse.
Maybe it was Nicolas Cage in Knight Rider.
As a horse.
But
that'd be cool.
Yeah. Yes. So
10 minutes to go, boys.
Another headless horseman. I'm liking this. I like this one.
Can we do a little bit of magic real quick?
If you insist on doing magic, I have no idea what you're going to be able to do. But
everybody draw a circle.
If you choose to. If you choose to. Everybody draw a circle, and somewhere on the circle, put a mark. Anywhere on the circle. Now, if you think of a clock, I am going to make a prediction that majority of everybody put a tick at 12. The next is 5, 7, and then 11. So in YouTube world, tell us where you put your little tick on your circle if you think of it as a clock. And we'll go from there, and I'll check it later. There's the magic right there. There you go.
Oh.
Dang, dude.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Have we not got to shake a rabbit's foot or something? Do we not have to roll a trouser leg up and do some kind of crazy dance or get a wand or something?
I had a vision. I don't know if it was a dream or a vision that we had a circle with a feather in the center of it, and we were manipulating the feather around the circle. And we also had a glass of water with a bendy straw in it, and we started making water bubbles or air bubbles come out the bottom of the bendy straw while we were on the show today.
Whoa.
So maybe in the future, I was going to try to get a hold of one of you guys and say, hey, is there any way you can set up a camera and make this? Because this is, as a Native American, when we have dreams like this, we try to recreate them into fruition.
You try and manifest the dream into the real world.
Well, it's that whole thing of the experiment is, do we have the art of divination where we can predict the future? Because, of course, there's an anomaly to the cycle, and some of us are very, very gifted and know how gifted we are, but would you want to say it out loud how gifted you are? Because the powers that should not be would zero on you right away from the moment you go to school. And you take that test of pattern recognition and they see how brilliant you are at recognizing the patterns. You don't think they're watching you? I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Well, I'll tell you what, right? We have just got time for a little bit of Halloween from Down Under. Big shout out to our sister Luna for this one. And I know we've got Australians in there right now. I see Ken kicking around. I've seen Luna. It says, it was a summer night and I decided to sleep in the lounge room near the window. I just closed my eyes, laying on my back. My scenes went wild. Danger is present. My senses went wild. Danger is present. That's that feeling again. The spidey senses. So it says, I opened my eyes only to see a small, pale skin, hairless creature with sharp teeth sitting on my chest. I looked the creature in the eyes and something strange happened. My arm reached up and my hand wrapped itself around the creature's throat. And the strange thing is that my fingers had sharp, long, black goanna claws. The creature's face turned to fear and it screamed an ungodly screech. It jumped off me and ran through the window. I sat up and realized I was the creature's worst nightmare. That's terrifying. Luna, I tell you, this lady has got so many amazing stories. Luna, you need to have a podcast, or we need to get you on a Freaky Friday. I think we need to get her on a Freaky Friday, boys. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I'm definitely thinking.
I'm starting to feel a little strange. I don't know what's going on here. Hold on. Oh.
He's got his black eyes on. He's got his black eyes on. Yes, that was a
hand check.
Deep woo there. Very deep woo from Luna. That was a bit disconcerting. Yes, indeed.
Well, if you think in the possibility of someone being possessed by some kind of entity and some other entity comes to mess with it, if you were to damage the host or to make fear to the host, then wouldn't this entity want to help you in that battle?
Very true. Very true. We've got 4 minutes left here, and it says Australians have yet to embrace Halloween in all its glory. In other words, that means it's not been Americanized yet. Many of us still refer to Halloween as an American thing, even though Halloween has its beginnings as a Celtic festival, and that's because it's the Americans who have spread the festivity in its current form as a pop culture activity. It was saying down here about Australians having orange balloons outside the house. It says in the US, people dress up as whatever they like. One of the joys of having a boy-girl set of twins meant I could dress my kids up as Sandy and Danny from Greece. Yeah, but where's it? This was meant to be about Australians. It let us down that there's a relatively new Australian Halloween tradition to leave an orange balloon at the front door of your house if you're happy for trick-or-treaters to bang on your door for lollies. No balloon, no treats. How absolutely perfectly Australian. Simple as that. No balloon. Do one. Get off my lawn, sport.
That is
go.
A very, very effective and simple measure for.
Here in Moorhead, I was trying to get. Here in Moorhead, Minnesota, I was trying to get parents that are welcoming Halloween to get an orange light bulb and put it on their porch light and turn it on so all the kids know where to come to get the treats.
Good idea. Good idea. Over here, it's become very Americanized, I must admit. Very much so. It's changed. It's night and day to what it was when I was growing up, Scotty. It's definitely... And again, over here now, we never used to have proms. They've got proms over here now. Proms? What are you talking about? Used to have the Christmas dance. That was it, you know?
We've exported so much of our pop culture stuff, or our
because
culture.
Young ones live watching mostly American TV, it's like second nature to them. Like, I get it, but it's just different, way different,
No, I can see it.
We're almost out of time, boys. 2 minutes.
Oh, we are, aren't we?
So come trick or treating at my door, because I got the organic candy bars that we're giving out this year for the trick or treaters, the nice big size ones.
So Kev,
and a toothbrush and toothpaste.
Let people know if they're wanting to watch a scary Halloween movie before we go. What would you tell them? Give them a couple of movies to go and check out, Kev.
There's a new movie that came out that freaks me out. It's called Hereditary. And I couldn't even get either of my daughters to watch it because we watched the previews and they're like, no way. But it's called Hereditary. And there's another new werewolf movie that just came out that I'm going to listen to tomorrow night. And for the life of me, I just forgot what the name is. But my scariest movie is Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And it came out in 1978, I believe it was.
There you go. Brent Thomas on the way. We're out of here, folks.
Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat.
Indeed. Yes, there we go. And Scott's got his funny faces on. Again, looking very, very scary and spooky. Want to thank everyone for tuning in today. And Scotty, wow, man, you weren't half wrong when you said you dug up a whole horde of woo, especially on Kansas.
Yeah, some of that Kansas woo, it gets really in depth in the history. So it you gotta like dig through it before you get to the hauntings and stuff. But a lot of interesting stuff there, and just in general, that site's gonna have a lot of stuff for us to talk about.
Since we do the Thursday, there's some Thursdays we could lay out the history. So we both like history anyway. We both like that. Yeah. But it would be the perfect foundation for them the next night. A double whammy, just hit them with a woo factor on top of the history. Like it.
Yeah. And a lot of that history explains a lot of the craziness of why I think that there is a lot of paranormal energy that exists in this area as well, because it gets into the history between the essentially the war that Kansas and Missouri had. The Kansas-Missouri War, and it had already been going on 7 years before the Civil War. It was the lead up to the Civil War, right? Bleeding Kansas and the Jayhawkers fighting the Bushwhackers in Missouri, and just towns being raided and razed to the ground, and just a lot of really bad energy and bad things happening across this area. That. Do
you know what the closest tribe is to you, or reservation?
Potawatomi Reservation.
Oh, that's right. They got located there. They're Anishinaabe, the Potawatomi.
Oh,
their original title was Anishinaabe, but because of the whole, Manifest Destiny, they said, nope, you're not Anishinaabe anymore. We're calling you Potawatomi. Yeah, because they were part of the Algonquian language group.
Yeah, we've got Potawatomi. Oh man, we've got quite a few tribes around here.
If you could get me a name of a reservation that's near that graveyard, I would put some smoke signals out and see if I could get some possibly native perspective about it.
Now, there's an idea. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to have to get going, folks, unfortunately. But I want to thank you all for being here today. It's been a blast. It's great being having Kevin here with myself and Scotty, and me, Dave, of course. And I will be talking tomorrow at the Fringe Fest. Yes, I've become the monster guy. I'll be talking about Loch Ness. That's at 5 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. And Fringe FM. I think Clyde Lewis is coming on after me. Not too sure about that. But I will be there talking for an hour about the various monsters and myths and legends of Loch Ness. That's going to be a blast. It's going to be something different. Imagine having me speaking at any kind of virtual conference, Scott. My goodness. They must be really hard up for speakers. Maybe not, because Jordan Maxwell, Brad Olson, Ryan Gable. Tell you what, dude, there's a bit of a lineup going on over there.
You're in some pretty good company over there, so.
Our good friend Charlie Robinson, our new astrologist,
Yes.
Mary Decina. She's on as well, yeah. You're going to have to
So
come
we're
on
gonna
with her one night, Scott. You're going to love her, dude. Ah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the astrology woo.
And she animal
it.
whispers.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Nicey.
Right.
Yeah.
nice. Awesome.
So, and I'll be back on Sunday, I believe, with Warrior Mode. Can't remember the name of the guest off the top of my head. But that link is already up. It's live over on the Kev Baker Show main channel. I'll be with Bill. And I'll be with Travis, so that'll be really good. And then Monday on the show next week. Let me just check. I don't think I've got anyone on the Monday. Calendar. Let me see. No, wrong month. Okay, Monday, nothing. Nano. On the Tuesday, which is election day, I'm going to be having a few people calling in, joining in that
Hashtag
day.
Cannabis 2020.
Yeah. And then Wednesday is going to be the episode 1400. So that's going to be a good one. And then obviously Thursday, we have got November the 5th. Remember the 5th of November. Anonymous Math Day.
If I'm around, if you wouldn't mind a wingman swooping in on episode 1400.
Oh, would I mind? I would absolutely relish it, my friend.
I may make an appearance. We'll see.
1400, dude.
That maybe should be an
1400.
open lines one so people can.
Yeah, I think I'll be opening the phones that day, yeah.
We're
That's a
synchronous.
badge you should wear proudly, my friend.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Who knew, eh? 1400 episodes. That's scary, man.
I know, and only another 1,400 to go.
Oh, and the rest, Kev. And the rest. I'll be taking the mic with me to the other side as well. You can get EVPs of me if you really tune in to the other side, you know?
I'm gonna keep you here, brother.
What if what if your YouTube channel ends up being haunted and there's these these mysterious ghost uploads that nobody understands how these shows are being uploaded?
Ooh,
Well,
haunted
did you check
YouTube
out that
page.
really weird thing that I sent you about the TikTok videos that were appearing?
Oh,
We could do that on Wednesday night, right? We'll get into that. That's a good word.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody put your recorders out tonight. Turn your recorders on tonight and let them record and see what you get.
Ooh.
The magic's there all the
It's
time.
all around us, and tonight's supercharged to the moon. And on that note,
I love you, brother. Thank you.
we're gonna play some music, and then we'll hang up on YouTube, and then I'll speak to you for a minute. I'm not that rude, Kev. I wouldn't kick you all off. So I want to thank everyone again, and keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. And now I need to find some music. Yes, indeed. The Void, that was a weird one. No, we'll try this one. Here we go.
Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Thank you,
Subscribe.
Kevin. You're way better than this. If you want to become a member, Sunday member stream, click that join button.
Freaky Friday. Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew.